Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. I got a big cheese smile on my face. Why? Well, because we're going to spend the next 2 hours talking about the Game Awards, what went wrong, what continues to go wrong, some of the categories that don't really make any sense. But I'm laughing because, as many of you folks know, I'm a retired New York City police officer, right? And you would imagine being a community guy, gets out there and handshakes with the people, because that's what I did. I mean, I locked up a lot of bad guys, but I went back to my old high school. I was a youth officer there. I went back to the same neighborhood I used to play basketball in, and I policed that. It was a magical career. And you would imagine that in those years, 21 years of service, that I've heard some pretty heinous things. And mostly, I would even dare say 100% of the time, when people said horrible things to you, because I was in uniform for most of the time. I did a lot of plainclothes stuff as well, but I did mostly spent time in uniform. So you're going to get some pretty heinous things said at you. I always laughed. Like, I didn't laugh at the person because you don't want to incite a riot. You laugh inside and you just keep it moving because it's just words, right? You just keep it moving. But I gotta tell you, I am so disappointed in this community because of God forbid you should question something that you feel is wrong. I'm not talking about being a fanboy or a fangirl. I'm not talking about waving the flag of PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo. I'm talking about, let's have an honest and earnest big boy, big girl conversation about something that happened that we feel to be somewhat wrong. And some of the things that was said to me were deplorable. I mean, this is why you ultimately, if you start to grow a channel, you stop reading the comments, not because you don't want to give the nice people their flowers, but because the hate is just, it's very toxic, and it unfortunately ruins the broth, so to speak. So what we're going to do here today is we have everyone on this panel, and Daniel McGee had to reset his computer. He'll be back here in a hot second. We're going to have some real adult conversations, folks. Now, listen, Lethal has already banned somebody, which is fine by me. He's got full authority to do it. I'm going to tell you right now, don't start the bullying because or start the cursing or start the being a D-bag in the chat because we have opinions and they don't match up with yours. I want everyone to come here to this channel, give your opinion. There is no judgment. Even if we don't agree, that's awesome. But I see any bullying, I see any kind of nonsense that is outside of the lines, you are banned for life. So just get ready. Don't be a D-bag. Have an opinion. Let's have a conversation. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to be name calling. We're not going to be finger pointing. We're going to have a conversation. And I think there is a lot of conversation to be had here because, quite frankly, once again, I'm all about evidence. Like I said, I bring the evidence to the conversation. So you can be like, hey, this is more than just an opinion. We're going to get to all of that in a hot second. So get ready. But let's introduce the panel first. C-Money. Good morning, kind sir. How the heck are you? And I would imagine that you and the missus, which is present an amazing podcast each and every week, several times a week, have a great lineup for the people that have subscribed to your channel. Good morning, sir. How you feeling?
Oh, good morning, my man. Doodle wishes that she could have been here. Unfortunately, the youngins did not allow such a thing to take place today, but
It's fine. We'll get it back.
but yes, I think we're all a little taken aback,
flabbergasted, even
flabbergasted, some would say, by the ridiculousness that took place yesterday during those live nominations. Yeah, yesterday's show was wild. went pretty crazy actually. Looking back at it, it kind of lost the shit a little bit. But you know how we do. We gotta talk that shit because it was some bullshit, man. It was just some bullshit. Like I just
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, look,
My mind's still wrapping my head around it. So it's we're gonna have a fun show today. Let's just put it that way. We're gonna have a fun show.
we are, because like I said, we're going to bring some real pointed conversation to what actually transpired. Look, here's the thing, folks. Ultimately, there isn't a person on this panel or anyone that I work with on any of the panels of the 5 shows that we do here at Double Barrel Gaming 5 days a week that get paid. We're here, we're talking, we're hanging out, we're having fun. When someone or a platform needs to get the smoke, we deliver it, right? We deliver it in a way that's factual, which is going to happen today. But I'm sorry to say, folks, one of the things, Umbra, that I think was hilarious is the hashtag Xbox tax was trending all day yesterday. And, Matt Piscatella, who I think is a cornerstone of the industry, right? I like Matt a lot. I mean, that's a numbers guy by leaps and bounds. He speaks, I listen, folks. He put out a tweet that he was like, I don't understand this Xbox tax thing. You guys are ridiculous, or something. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the tweet in front of me. And as much as I like that dude, I really do. Like I'm a big fan of his stuff. I would disagree with him. The Xbox tax, folks, whether you want to believe that it's a thing or it's not, have your opinion. Let's have a conversation.
Real, bro.
No one, Umbra, is going to tell me that does not exist. Good morning, sir. How are you feeling coming all the way out of Chi-Town?
Yes, I'm feeling good. Boom. I hear you on Matt Piscatella, and my thing is when I see people like that or others that do the kumbaya kind of talk, and because that right there is kind of a bit of a shaming, like, you idiots, you think this certain thing or whatever.
Yep.
Well, a lot of people thought a lot of things. People thought the earth was flat and called those people idiots too. When the people who thought it wasn't flat, right, at a time.
There we go.
People, Galileo, I believed the stars were paintings or something of that nature, or some, like, a lot of these things are one thing until you find out what they really are. Now, I can understand going overboard and going to extremes. Of course, like, none of us should go to that point. I think deep down, many of us kind of knew. You know what I mean? Even I kind of knew. And even still, I held out hope for Starfield because I loved it. I put in almost 400 hours into the game. And I still got stuff to do. That's the craziest part. But even I felt like, yeah, they're going to snub it. And for obvious reasons. And the reason why I and many of us felt it was going to get snubbed is because we know there's an Xbox tax. And I think it's one of those things we're supposed to kind of not say out loud or be shunned, I think. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest problem. But I would say everybody can display their disappointment and frustrations within reason. Just don't go overboard. But so you see, I had to change the name to Snubra here. Now
I like the Infinite Snubra. Yeah, I like it. Did you see? I actually changed the Xbox Snub podcast.
I saw it. I figured I would get festive with you. I don't know, but so I bet our boy Retri. I bet him that Starfield. I had enough faith, or at least I had enough hope that Starfield would make it. That I bet him my knees. Right, I bet the knees.
I've lost my knees to Kay Asante. Kay, I know you're listening, brother. I love you, and you have my knees on display at the house. It's fine. That's why I'm walking with a limp, folks.
Well, I lost, and I'll tell you, I think God must have had it out for me because I stretched my knee out so bad this morning and hurt it. I was like,
shit.
Yeah, I hurt my knee somehow. I don't know how I did it. It hurts too, and I overextended it.
That might be a hyperextension. That's probably what it is. Yeah,
I think it was. I'm like, man, I'm getting old. Hold on now. But my whole thing is when I see that reaction. Of course, people shouldn't go overboard again. Feel frustrated at a reasonable pace. Yes. But when I see people try to write it off like, oh, it's not that, you're just this thing or something, and try to insult you, it's like you don't know what it is actually. And I always laugh when people
going overboard.
Like, I would say name calling and
like what does
Like
that
when
really
it,
mean?
I
You know
would
what
say
I'm
like
saying?
if people go overboard with a point where they're tagging people like, oh, Geoff Keighley, I knew you were a pony all along. Like you don't want to go to that length, right? I don't think it's
Yeah.
necessary.
No, I look. I agree with you. I think we can have a passionate look, folks. And I know people hate when I do this, but gaming is very much similar to sports in a lot of ways, right? Like you have your team. Like I'm a Steelers fan, right? So I have an unbelievable distaste for the Ravens, but I wouldn't go out of my way to like insult the player. Like I just want my team to win, so I'm gonna rah the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Baltimore Ravens. That's my team.
Yep. It's like us in
Um,
Chicago. I
yeah, I mean,
despise the Green Bay Packers, but I don't
there you
hate
go.
people, unless they
Yeah,
say something to me, then I want them to kill them. No, I'm joking.
right. Hey,
But
I mean, look, we there are look there are a lot of things that we're going to be talking about that we will attempt, even though you don't agree. And again, no one's asking you to agree with me, or Umbra, or C Money, or Daniel McGee. And speaking of Daniel McGee, welcome back, Daniel. How are you, kind sir?
Hello, I'm doing good. They're doing yard work, so I hope you can't hear that.
Oh, we don't hear anything,
Yeah.
and yeah, don't worry about it. I have my window open because it's hot as balls in this house, and I need some fresh air. So if it's too much, let me know, folks. I'll close the window. I have the sound. I have the background noise being muffled, so hopefully you don't hear any of it. But listen, let's talk about it. Okay, so like I said, folks, I am all about let's have a conversation. And I have the nominees in front of me, and there are quite a bit of them, some of which are going to be irrelevant to our conversation. But you know what's interesting is the fact that when you read about about the 120 people, they're the panel of the expert panel, as it's been coined by Geoff Keighley. He said this. You kind of wonder if things are maybe not going as they have been sold to us. The bill of goods that has been sold to us seems to might be a little off, maybe a little bit light on the back end. So I bring up something that, shout out to the Black Viking once again, keen eye, great member of the community. They had a category. Now, it doesn't mean anything to me, but that does not mean that it doesn't mean anything to you. I'm not an esports guy. I know it's a younger man's game. People love watching these esports. Good on you. If that you find that as entertainment, awesome. So when they start reading off the teams, it's like a different language to me because I don't know who these people are. Not that they don't matter, just I don't watch them. But they had the best esports coach, right? Now, this part is embarrassing because one of the coaches, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It is XTQ with 3 Z's. Ecstasies, I think that's how they said it. Ecstasy, whatever. I'm old, folks. I'm sorry. He was listed by the expert panel, Infinite Umbra, as being one of the top 5 people for 2023. You know why this is embarrassing? Because Ecstasies, or however the hell you say his name, Mr. Z, comes out and says, let's be serious for 2 minutes. I wasn't even a coach this year. Take me off the list.
take me off the list, coach.
That was hilarious, bro.
That's pretty
Wow.
That was
Like,
hilarious.
I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna take the awards seriously, how does this egregious thing happen where the guy comes out and be like, listen, I wasn't even a coach this year. This is an expert panel.
I think it tells you that it's less like that's what when we talk about this thing and we say, well, yeah, it could be this thing. Like of course it's a bit of tinfoil headery, right? But I always it was a guy I was talking to earlier on Twitter. He was just so dismissive. He was, well, no, you don't know that. And look, I said, well, how do you know? Like, why are you talking with such authority and why are you giving such faith to these people like you know them? Like, what are you talking about? Why are you saying this with such fervor, as they would say?
It's called pony bitch assness.
I guess so.
We coined that yesterday. That's a
I
new
did.
thing
Yeah, I
now.
did hear that. That's true.
You're
Boom,
gonna
boom. By
choke
the
me
way,
out,
I heard you TTSing the other day. By the way, boom, you were going in. By the way, you and Joey.
Oh yeah,
when
you know
see-
what?
boom.
I apologize to those guys because I just bullied my way, and I said, "Listen,
Oh,
send me a
no.
link. I gotta drop my bars." And they were like,
Everybody
"No, come
appreciated
on
that
in."
energy. I can guarantee you that crowd was hyped when you were going in like that.
Yes.
I was laughing my butt off. I was at work
We
laughing.
like Dark Boom.
Yeah, dark.
we
Boom,
like
that's
Dark
it.
Boom.
You know, it
This
takes
is,
a
this
lot
is
to
the
get
start
me
of
there.
Boom's villain arc.
Yeah,
Just like
Yeah,
Xbox.
you see,
In a
that's
world
one of those things where
where
you made
Xbox
me be
was
the
once again
villain. Like I don't
snubbed.
want to be the bad guy, but you forced my freaking hand here. You know what I'm saying?
You live long
So,
enough to become the villain. Boom. That's all it
as
is.
it's been
The
told,
villains are the
many-
ones that are remembered. Okay.
well, no, I will tell you this. As it's been told, sometimes good people do bad things, right?
Absolutely.
That's
That
it,
is a
man.
fact. So, okay.
But yeah,
Um,
but just saying, like I found it funny where, because I think the rational sounding thing, at least online, is to be like, oh, don't complain. Oh, these people are not. There's no Xbox tag. Oh, there's no bias, and it's like there's bias in every single thing, even reviewers.
There's
You
also
can't escape
corruption in every single thing,
It's
whether that
corruption
be the
too, I agree.
police, whether that be construction,
absolutely.
whether that be banking, whether
Yep.
that be the pizza shop versus the other pizza shop. There is always going to be
Mhm.
corruption because corruption at its core is all about money.
Yeah,
And this is
no
a big
question.
business, and I'm not suggesting that anybody's taking envelopes, folks. And let's not get crazy now. If you think that, that's fine. That's not what I think. That's not what I'm going at. What I'm saying is that corruption can come in the form of you being paid or for other things.
I just think I don't even know if it's necessarily just that. And I know we're going to get more into it, but I think it's just a simple fact that some people, a lot of these people, a lot of these journalists are at heart Sony and Nintendo fans more than they are Xbox fans. Just the simple fact of that alone is going to lead them to vote more for those. And to be fair, all of the nominees are well deserving. So none of us are like, oh, none of these
I mean,
are
all
worthy. Even Resident Evil 4, even though no remake
I'm
should
just
be there,
saying.
in my opinion, but I'm just saying, like, Resident Evil 4 is a great game, right? So I'm not writing it off for that reason.
it was a
still
great game like 20 years ago when it came out.
That right. That's the problem. That it's a remake. It's like to me, I feel like remakes and remasters shouldn't make it. I know people say the counter argument is that it's enough change in Resident Evil 4.
I am gonna make one very pointed statement, folks. Please bear with me. Now, Umber, yes, I'm gonna pick any category or any group of categories you want, and we will then what I like, how we like to handle this is pick a category, and then we'll all give our opinions on it. Yeah, when we go to each
did you go to Danny yet? I think we kind of.
No, we haven't. Actually,
sorry, Danny.
That is like where I am right now.
We will get him, but look, I real quick.
I'm doing ongoing nomination, ongoing best ongoing. That's what I'm tackling.
Yeah, I mean that's preposterous. That's another one. I got a couple here, but what I want to take the 5 minutes to do, and you guys and gals know, I do not agree with about 90-something% of the stuff that David Jaffe says. I think he's a brand guy, right? He has a lot of followers, a lot of fans. I don't dislike him. I've been on a podcast with David, but we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. But I have recently given him his flowers because he has done some things. He's said some things that have been on point. And he posted this yesterday, and it's a bit lengthy, so I'm gonna read it, but I'm not gonna read it in such detail because it's very long. So this is what David Jaffe had to say regarding of the Game Awards and the nominees and everything that was announced. He says, if the goal with an asterisk is to have an award ceremony that above all else tries to highlight the year's most important and best of the games medium, these things must be done. Number one, get all of the games to the nominating committees digitally and set up a system where you can tell if a person has played the game at least 50% of that game. Or two, and that is more. Again, I'll add it to the show notes if you want to read it for yourself. Hire 5 people each one fan from a specific game type, action, adventure, sports, whatever, have him or them have them play the fringe that most will miss. They can each force a game into the digital games that are shared with the nominating committees. Number 3, make a category clear. The fact that the Game Awards has directing and design as the same category is not only nonsense, but kind of insulting. He goes on to say, for outstanding creative and / or technical achievement in artistic design and animation, this is insane. There are literally 4 different criteria, each totally unique from each other, lumped into a single category. What is even the point? Do this, and the awards will actually matter. So I mean, again, it goes on to say, but I mean, who really cares? It's fun to talk about and debate on, and Geoff's show and Dice are always great fun to watch. And it's not like the Oscars are actually sense of what is best, which is a silly idea to begin with. Look, I could definitely get behind that. What he's saying makes sense. This is a popularity contest, but Daniel, we'll come to you in a hot second. I want you to pick your category that you kind of really want to sink your teeth in. We'll start first with Infinite Umbra because I have some things to say. Infinite, you said the best ongoing. This one, there is something that does not belong, and it is very, very perplexing when you consider something like, I don't know, Halo Infinite being one of the best seasons. I would even say that there should have been this.
You got a
343 has done.
Yep, multiple seasons.
Okay, is literally raised themselves up from the ashes of defeat and distraught and dysfunction, all these, and they have somehow managed to limp their way back and design a season that is probably on par with some of the best Halo in the franchise's history. I'm a long-time fan and player of this. The only multiplayer game I play religiously, and I have not played a Halo this good since Halo 3. And I'll stand on that soapbox.
I'm with you 100%. Halo 3 is my favorite in the series. I'm with you 100%. Love that multiplayer. I have played Infinite way more than I have Halo 3 already at this point, and at least continuously. Like, you know, I played Halo 3 probably more overall, but I'm talking about day to day. Like I've been on Infinite heavy. My thing is the problem I have with this, and the obvious is Cyberpunk. We all know it. Like, and I loved Cyberpunk, man.
Yeah,
thanks. I put in 450 hours into that game. I'm
That's
not
like
even,
my brother.
you can
Holy
look
cow.
me up right now on Xbox. You'll see I'm telling the truth. Loved that game. I'm sure Phantom Liberty is great. I will get it eventually and play through it. But there is no way in the world you can reliably, or at least logically, say that should be in best ongoing because they gave an expansion DLC. It's like, what?
Years later.
And
it wasn't ongoing. You know what I'm saying? Like it stopped. It was and then restarted.
So I saw one tweet. I forgot who the guy was. It's Michael something. Pretty well known guy. I can't remember. He made a tweet. He was like, well, because they did these updates and they patched in all this up. And I'm like, so you're saying they gave us the stuff that should have been there all along? I'm supposed to applaud them for best ongoing because they just patched in the stuff they didn't include before? Credit where credit is due. They're working on it and fixing it. Kudos. I love CD Projekt Red. However, if we're going to talk about ongoing, we have to make sense. It has to be something that's ongoing to the current game consistently. Halo makes that fits the bill. You could say Sea of Thieves fit the bill. I could say Grounded fits that bill.
Grounded. Yep.
And there's plenty more I'm sure that I'm overlooking, but I'm going to stick to Xbox for now. The fact that Halo and 343 in particular were just ignored, that's offensive. And Boom is right. They have turned that around. I don't know if it's due to the new people in charge with Pierre and everybody, but if you all have been playing it already, just with the forge mode and firefight alone has allowed for so much creativity from our community that it is honestly ridiculous. I played through with my boy Vinny. I played through Halo CE. What's the name of that? The second mission when you attack the beach. I cannot remember right now. But the second mission when you're landing on a beach and you fight the hunters eventually in the center area.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but
I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember the name
right
of it.
there. I just can't remember it. I'm sure somebody in the chat will say it. But we played through that, and I was just blown away by how close that was in representing that old feeling. Silent cartographer. Thank you, big sleepy ox, to be fair. But thank you, brother. But yeah, the silent cartographer.
Yes.
That right there was so well done, and you could see how like some of the scripting with the enemies coming through, and it's honestly quite impressive. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Then you go to firefight modes, and you should see what the stuff people have created with that. There's a new one called Apex Firefight. It was highlighted even by Mint Blitz. So dope. And I mean, it goes beyond that. We've all seen the Mario Kart racing ones.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Hell, they even have an RPG for it now that somebody.
I saw a side scroller. I saw
exactly a Mario one with a
Mario side scroller.
Exactly,
yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
We played at one point. We played the Squid Games. We played Duck Hunt. You running through and people shooting at you from a distance. I'm telling you right now, Forge. This is the best Forge has ever been, and easily adding forgeable AI has elevated this game to heights a lot of games can't reach right now. Honestly, I would dare say their Forge mode is better than any other multiplayer game out there when it comes to creation tools. I don't think there's any game out there that touches it. Couple that with how solid the gun combat in general in Halo is. It to me is criminal that you would leave them off. It is. It really is. And I know people will be like, "Well, you're just saying it because you're Xbox guy." No, it's really not that.
No, you got to play it. You have to play it. If you are a multiplayer fan, you owe it to yourself. The speed of how fast Halo Infinite is when you are on the battlefield and you are going. Like I said, I got 8, 10, 15, 20 hours of recorded video. You could just watch it. Now I may not be beast number 1 like I used to be,
right,
but I'm still double-digit kills every game. And it is amazing.
It's just pure fun, especially we have our little parties here and there on the weekdays. For instance, it'll be myself, it'll be Jedi Knight Peter, it'll be Holly, it'll be Colt Eastwood, it'll be Hargeet. We'll all jump in. It'll be 13 or 14 of us deep or whatever it is, and we'll all be playing through these modes, at least if not against each other, but then the firefight. We did firefight like 2 weeks ago. Man, when I tell you, we had some of the most fun I've ever had in any game. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. We were singing, we were laughing. It was nonstop for a good 3 or 4 hours, probably longer than that, because the time was flying. And that's where you probably heard. I don't know if you all watched Colt on XNC, but he was like, photo mode. He was singing the photo mode, but then the Jurassic Park theme. But we had a ball with my boy Red Wolf. He came up with that, by the way. Shout out to Red Wolf. And I just feel like it to me it's a slap in the face to 343 that you, and even hell, I'll go to Obsidian with Grounded. I'll go to Rare with Sea of Thieves, that all of them are ignored and snubbed, but Cyberpunk is there. It just doesn't fit. And we got a few other categories there that where it's like, why is this here? I can name best community support. You know what I mean? But I'm not going
to. Don't, because that one's going to be mine.
I'll let you tackle it. I'll let you tackle it. But
yeah, that one's another one. Look, I'll say this: when you consider what is there, right, and there again, I'm looking at it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 24, 25, 26, 8, 9, 30, 31 categories. There are a lot of categories, some of which don't really matter to many people on the panel or in the chat. So we're gonna skip past. We are gonna finite discuss, very specific ones like best music score, best score in music. I don't know. I mean, listen, I get it that there's a pattern here, how you do. Did anyone else but me play and listen and take the time to hear what goes on in Starfield? That game does not even get the nod for that. And this is what I wanted to say before I lost my chain of thought, because like I said, this is one of those shows we're kind of going to be all over the place because there's really a lot to get to. As someone who took many hours of just pictures and walked around the world in amazement, I am going to say that Geoff Keighley, even though, like I said, I think he's incredibly important for the industry. I love what he's done with the Game Awards. I love that, gaming has this, this view on it. I don't know who made this decision. I don't know if it's Geoff. I don't know if it's the powers above him. I don't know if it's the 120 people or entities that voted on this thing. But I'm going to say this. You should all be ashamed of yourselves, and you're a bunch of fucking cowards. And I'm going to tell you why. The fact that Hogwarts was left out of the conversation like it did not exist
completely
is an insult to every man and woman on that team that worked their ass off. Let me tell you something. That game has no right, literally no right, to be as good as it is, and somehow, some way, they have captured the literal magic of what makes Hogwarts a place that you actually want to visit in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I spent time just looking at the moving pictures, watching the pages fly around, looking at the candy shop, literally the candy shop, just standing in front of the window and watching it move and react. And I get it, folks. The author is a dick bag. I totally get it.
To be honest with you, I don't think she was a dick.
And
but anyway,
it's fine. But
listen, I'll say this. I'm with you 100%. But if you look at, I know. Hey, I love everybody. But listen, the thing I would agree with you 100%, Boom. Actually, believe it or not, that actually bothered me more than Starfield. Actually,
yeah, me too.
They gave it no nominations.
It did not exist.
It had great accessibility. They didn't even give it that. It's like, nah, you don't exist. So that bothered me a lot because I agree with you 100%. If you see the love that team poured into that game,
it's unbelievable.
It is crazy that they got ignored like that, and we know why. Right. So that bothers me when you bring agenda into this. So that's why I say when people say, "Oh, why would you think they'll do this?" And these judges, and they say, "You think they can't have agendas? You think they can't have their own belief system?"
They absolutely have agendas. They're the media. They are the gaming media. They absolutely have agendas.
Yeah, look, and they didn't want that smoke either. I don't think Geoff wanted that smoke on a VGA.
They're cowards. They are all whoever made the decision to pretend that Hogwarts did not exist for this awards, whether that comes from Geoff, whether that comes from the above, whether that comes from the 120 people or some sort of a collective, mindset being thing, you are cowards. Because the author, whether you disagree or agree, had literally nothing to do with this game whatsoever. Not one inkling outside of owning the IP.
That is one of the things that does kind of annoy me about this, is because every year there's like some category where something's wrong, and which is almost to be expected at this point. But every time that happens, there's always like the immediate follow-up tweet from the Game Awards of like, just so you know, we didn't vote on it. Wasn't me, wasn't Geoff. And it's like, okay,
the brace for impact.
That's probably true. Yes. But at the same time, it's like, you chose the people who are voting, and I think that you should stand out in front of them. Like, this is your thing. You're the face of it. If you disagree with what they're saying, then do something about it. And if you don't, then stand between them and the people who are saying shit about them. Like do the Phil Spencer thing of being like, was he actually the reason that Redfall was bad? No, but he went out there and he said that it was his fault, right?
Great point.
like Geoff Keighley,
the arrows.
I have a lot of respect for him. I really do. But that's one of the things that annoys me every year is him just being like, it's not me. It's not me. It's like, you're the face of the Game Awards, man. Like, if you agree with the things that the people are saying on your jury, which presumably you do because you chose for them to be on there, then you should defend them. Like, you should be one of the people who you're going to be at the front of this regardless, no matter how many times you say that you didn't have anything to do with it. So why are you not defending the people who you chose to put in the spotlight like this? Like, that's always annoyed me.
Yeah, listen, we'll let Umbra continue because he has a lot to say, but let me catch up on the super chats before they get out of control. There's already 10 of them. Adidas 20 drops a $5 super chat and says, if Sony or its Media Corp piss you off, WBG and TTS is a click away. Sometimes the media bias will make you talk some shit. And there you go. Simon Brandy says, after dropping a very generous £5 super chat, Metro used a headline reporting the Game Awards, Starfield fans look away, yet people claim the biased media isn't real. The evidence proves otherwise. Yeah, you know what's funny
about that? Did you
again, I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
So I forgot the guy who responded to Paul Tassi, but Paul Tassi did that where he was like, there's no bias, blah blah blah, the whole spiel, and then somebody responded. I forgot. I think his name is Clute. He follows me on Twitter. He posted the Metro literally saying they were going to penalize. And remember, you all remember that, right? When they were saying
Hi-Fi Rush because it wasn't a PlayStation exclusive.
Exactly. So they were going to penalize other games, blah, blah, makes you want to penalize other games from Xbox, whatever. And he posted that, and Paul Tassi responds, well, that's Metro. That's Metro being foolish or something like that. It's like,
yeah, he actually and like I said, I'll get into it after everyone goes through their stuff. Paul Tassi, who I respect, I like Paul a lot.
I like Paul too.
He said something on Twitter yesterday that just was a bit of a head scratcher, and he stood on his stone. He went back and forth with people because what he said originally, I mean, I'll read it to you folks. You tell me if it makes sense. This is one of those shows where there's the question of make this make sense is going to be asked a lot. Kia Walker, who's been a channel member for 29 months, says, in my Dennis Green voice about the gaming media, they are who we thought they were. Indeed. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, it won't happen, but the noms should skip the VGAs to let Geoff and the biased media know that politics do not belong at shows celebrating creative works. Beautifully said. Absolutely beautifully said. RC Polygons drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, I believe that Xbox titles being snubbed, this will motivate Xbox to be more aggressive and go acquire more studios and make sure that Xbox will never be left out. It's funny you say that because I want to bring, like, that's a fantastic point. So, like I said, I'm all about the evidence, folks, right? So someone posted this on Twitter yesterday, and so it was, thankfully he put his name in the picture. It's at Tiger CA123. So he has the Game Awards, right? Go all the way back to 2013. Now I'm looking at my phone, and I hate doing that. That is so unprofessional. But I forgot to send my picture to myself in DM. So unfortunately, I have to do the cardinal sin. So I'm reading from my phone. I freaking hate that. So he has a listing here for the Game Awards going back through 2013 to 2023, folks. Now, I'm going to say this. The list has PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox. And do you know that as of 2013 through 2023, which is 10 years, right? I'm no mathematician, but that's 10 years. Xbox has never had a game ever in the Game of the Year category. So are we?
It's actually 11 noms.
All right, so it's 11. All right, so there you go.
That's
why I'm not a mathematician.
But it's 11 shows.
Yeah, so 11
Crazy.
shows from 2013 to 2023. Are we going to honestly, with a straight face, suggest that for all of those years, there wasn't one Xbox exclusive that could have been brought to the table?
I can name one right now that should have been. However, it was against some stiff competition. That's Ori and the Will of the Wisps, 2020. Had a 90 on Metacritic, and we all know that game was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So that's one that was.
Yeah.
It did make the nominations at the very least, but they didn't win.
Gears 5 could have been in there.
Gears 5 should have gotten more love.
Yep.
But yeah,
there's plenty. We know the bullshit is real. This
so
just
listen,
puts it in
you know what?
perspective when you see a list
I'll
like
get to the
that, you know
super
what I'm
chats
saying?
in a hot second. Umbra, let's continue your point, brother.
Yeah, well, I don't want to drag it on too much because I have been a bit of a chatty patty. I do want to get up my
No,
other
that's
brothers
okay. It's a
on here.
conversational podcast. That's what the people are here for.
Yeah, but my whole takeaway is I just don't like the dismissive talk. And the reason I say that is because we don't know these people. We don't know what they really feel. We don't know what they think. We don't know what motivates them. We don't know if they have agendas. They definitely had an agenda for Hogwarts. People can say what they want. No nominations at all. Nah, not that game was culturally significant. You saw it on TikTok everywhere. You saw videos being made to make fun of people joining Slytherin. I was Team Slytherin, by the way. And all these different things. There is no way that had no impact. To me, I feel like when you have a social impact as well as the game being great, and Hogwarts was great. And I think it got roughly around an 83, 84, something like that. And I think it was, and we know it was unfairly criticized. We saw, if you look at some of those things back then, the critiques for it was all agenda laden because of their feelings toward J.K. Rowling. There's a few in particular I could point people to, and they used that to weigh this game down critically. They did the same thing to Starfield. That's why I can't take people serious when they just say, "Oh no, it's not that. Are you just being a fanboy?" No, there are people who have agendas, and they will absolutely use it to their benefit and to the detriment of these games if they can, and they are put in those positions to do so. Do I need to mention Jim Sterling? Anyone? No, because we know that I'm right on that. So that's the problem I have is there are some people that are put into power who show a glaring lack of professionalism and do not take that serious enough that they should have integrity not to use it against these games. That's the problem I have. Hogwarts, to me, again, I knew in my heart,
Me too. We talked about this behind the scenes, dude. We did.
I knew Starfield was going to get it. I knew they were going to snub it somehow. I have a feeling that if it had been on PlayStation and not acquired by Microsoft, it probably would not have been done that way. But
you don't even have to say probably, my dude. You don't even have to say probably.
Yeah.
Look back at anything else Bethesda has done on their big board. Like
exactly.
Bethesda proper. Like, come on.
Hey, it is what it is.
When we say, and that's where the Xbox tax comes into play. Like there are serious, there are journalists, if you call them that, because really ultimately these journalists are just fanboys. They are just literally above the board. These journalists in some of these places are a pinch above some of the trolls you find on Twitter. That's what they are.
That's why all of them. That's why I write people off.
They just get to do it and hide behind journalistic integrity.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
They just get to hide behind it. That's all the difference. That's the only difference between them and every other pony that's walking around this goddamn site.
Let's bring you in, C Money, because you've been chomping at the bit to get in here. Whatever category you want to go to, however you want to take this, by all means, drive. We're on your train. You're going to drive it, whether it's a fiery wreck or not. We're in it, so we're in for the long haul. What happened yesterday is, and what I will continue to say this, C Money, and I think you will agree with me, is a travesty of gaming justice. For the fact that you can put your heart and soul into a game, and you can be boxed out because the voting is skewed. The voting is absolutely 1000% skewed. And we've seen it. We've seen it that these are being, and not all of them. Like Paris Lily's a judge. Do you think Paris Lily's like a D-bag? I don't think so. I think Paris is actually quite a really cool dude. I don't agree with everything that he says. I honestly don't, but he wouldn't agree with me and everything that I said. But I still think he's a credible member of the community. He's one
Paris
of them.
is fair. I think he's fair too.
I think when you look and see that Paris received a PlayStation 5 Slim before every PlayStation dude that's out there, I think puts a little perspective on the view that maybe Sony has of him, right?
Yeah.
So maybe as easy as it is to say, listen, I have nothing against Paris, but let's call it what it is. Sony's not sending their PlayStation 5 to me, right? Or Dirt, right? So like there's an obvious scenario that took place here, and there's an obvious perspective that is not only shared by a lot of the people who's in the chat and who be out there, right? People see him for what, I know I'm not on my channel, so I got to be very careful with how I speak. All right, let me forget that. Let's just drop that whole scenario. But this is the one thing that I would say. Well, not one thing. We're going to talk, but one thing that came up yesterday on my show that I think bared out to be very true right after, with when you look at a Matt Piscatella and even some other people that I won't mention their name, but what I said was that after this, I want everybody to go out there and take a look. And what's going to happen is that people are going to reveal themselves. When you go out there, you're going to see who people actually are when they do this. Okay. That is the frustration that I have, because these people it's only on the Xbox side that people get to go ahead and walk that line so hard, and then on the PlayStation side, they're free to just be whoever they want, right? But for whatever reason, the Xbox dudes think that they need to walk this line to prove to the PlayStation fellas that, hey, I'm legit like you. I'm legit just like you. All right. I could be fair. I could be critical. That's not what happens on that side. It's 100% not what happens on that side. Right. That's just what it is. The reality is that right now you have dudes on Xbox side who claim that they rep Xbox, right? They're on Xbox side. They like this side, right? But they feel like they have to walk the line. And you see it with somebody like Matt Piscatelli, who comes out and says something about Xbox tax. He doesn't give a shit, right? It doesn't matter to him whether he likes Xbox plays it. It doesn't matter to him. But to say it, right, to put it out there and to basically go ahead and say, screw all of you Xbox dudes who knew that you had a banger with Starfield. All right, whether you personally like the game or not, right? There's many games that people don't personally like, right? But we can respect what the game is. And Starfield is not an insignificant game. Starfield is not just some game that came out and you know what, we don't like it, so it shouldn't get nodded. Bro, this game is amazing in all ways of what it's done. Right? Yeah, people can niggle about the game, like pick little things here and there. Sure, of course, you can do that with any single game in the world, right? So if that was the case, then take out all the nominees. There's no game of the year, right? Because if we're thinking that Spider-Man belongs up there, when my man turns into a cube and you swing around as a cube for a lot of that game, or you have most of the game played with Mary Jane or any of the other stuff that has come up with all this shit, but it still got nominated. Right? Don't tell me that is the same scenario where Starfield should not have been nominated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You look at that list, you got 2 PlayStation exclusives, and I'm saying Baldur's Gate 3 is a PlayStation exclusive. It's not on Xbox right now. So you have 2 games that are exclusively on PlayStation. You got 2 games that are exclusively on Nintendo. Then you got a remake, right? Which, sure, the remake is great. We played, we love it. It's a phenomenal game. It's not game of the year, right? It can't be game of the year because it was already game of the year, right? You don't get 2 shots at the same game, right? It was game of the year when it came out, whenever the hell it was, right? So right now, that game is a phenomenal game that should have been nominated for other things, not for game of the year. And then the only game that's out there right now that has nothing to do with the other titles is Alan Wake 2, right? Which is a phenomenal game, right? So I don't know how we don't look at that list and say Resident Evil being a remake, how does that take the spot of Starfield? There's
I mean,
no.
I would leave Resident Evil
Go
there. The one, if you're talking about game of the year, the one that I would probably move would be Mario Wonder. I think Resident Evil 4 is a great game, and I know you're saying it's a remake and it shouldn't be there, but it's like it really is like completely different. You know what I mean? Like it would be on my personal list of game of the year for sure, for sure. And the problem here is that like Xbox doesn't have a rep here, right? And so I know a lot of people are going to be really upset about that because in some ways it probably should. Like they had a lot of games come out between them and Activision that were really good this year. But at the same time, it's like I can name like 9 other games that I would not have been surprised to have seen in here. And now granted, 3 of them are Xbox games, but like I wouldn't have been surprised to see Jedi or Hogwarts or Hi-Fi or Diablo. Like there's so many other
Diablo
games
4.
because this game was just like, or this year rather, was just insane. But I do think you're right when you're saying that like Starfield wasn't not put in here because of the bugs. It just wasn't, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3 had a ton of bugs, right? Like that game was in early access for years, and it still, at the time that it launched this year, still had a ton of bugs, right? Spider-Man had a ton of bugs. I ran into bugs in Tears of the Kingdom that I wasn't expecting to run into in a Nintendo game because I feel like I've never run into a bug with them before, right? So I do feel like it is that thing of like, so there's so many reviews even where they don't mention bugs in the games because they want the review to last to be true like into the future after those bugs are fixed. And so I can't imagine that they're doing the same thing for the game of the year category. So it's like they must have just not liked the game as much because the way that this works is that all of the nominees, right? Or not the nominees, the jury members, the publications, some of which are like 1 or 2 people, which I guess they just get to pick what they want. But they pick 5 nominees for each category, and then the ones that get the most picks don't go on into the thing, right? Like they don't get to be official nominees. And so I guess there were just enough of the nominees just like didn't like Starfield, which looking at who the nominees are or the jury members are, it's like I'm not surprised by that. I'm a little disappointed by it, but I'm not surprised by it because it's like I don't want to say the awards of the Game Awards aren't important because there are people who care about them a lot, but at the same time, it is definitely that thing where like it's not the end of the world if somebody doesn't get nominated or doesn't win the Game of the Year award. You know what I mean? Like there's so many other places where these games can get their flowers, right? And in other award shows too. Like there's DICE, there's the Golden Joystick.
DICE is the one that I consider
right?
to be like
there's so many other
Oscars
places.
in my
and so
opinion,
like
Daniel.
I just find it really hard personally to find actual anger in the nominees of anything on the Game Awards, right? Like, are there things that I would have changed personally? Of course I would, right? Because I am a different person than the people who made the nominations. But I don't look at the categories, and with the exception of like 1 or 2 that I think are weird. Like, I think it's really weird that Destiny 2, after this year, got best community support.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that's weird.
It is very weird.
Yeah.
But
No
all
sense.
of the other things, it's just like people have different opinions than me, and I'm not gonna get mad about it because it's not like it's like what like
I
what
don't
am I
think.
gonna change?
Well, you know what? That's the
That's
the one thing I really like about.
thing. I don't think that's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think we have to have anger because ultimately we're not getting paid for this. Like it's not honestly I'm not losing money. I just think that we are in a position where you kind of look at the room, and I'm always that guy who's gonna be like, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And I know, first of all, let me just welcome in Paris Lily. Paris, what's going on, brother? So 2 times in a month I get you on the show. You actually were here, I believe it was last week or the week before, and you actually told us that you were one of the judges, which is amazing. And here we are, the nominations. You said there was going to be some controversy. You said there might have been, some things that were snubbed. I mean, like Daniel just said, this is a year
There were
of
so
years.
many. I feel like no matter what 6 made the final nominations, people were going to be mad.
That's
You know
a
what I
fair
mean?
point.
I don't think that there was a version of. I don't think there is an alternate reality in which there is a 6th game.
Like everyone's happy
game of the
across
year
the board.
category where you.
but I think
this
you
year,
can see
where
that
no
the
one's gonna be
Xbox
mad.
side being completely off of it would make it more of an issue than just another game that didn't get put on.
True.
Right?
Sure,
Like
but
there
like,
has to be some type of like Starfield. I mean, listen, let's just call this shit what it is, right? You remove Xbox from the equation, okay? You remove Xbox from the equation. Starfield is nominated, bro. Not only nominated, but
I
probably
agree.
most likely to
I
win.
hate to
You
say it.
remove Xbox from the equation, Diablo 4 probably nominated. Probably
I don't
nominated.
know. There
Probably
were a
one
lot
of
of
the front
people who
runners
were
to win.
pretty upset about that first season of Diablo. You know what I mean?
But you
And
can't
it's
have
just
that
like one
angle
little
if you
negative.
leave
But it
Spider-Man in
landed
the
at a 90
conversation.
though. Diablo.
But
It did.
but
No,
you
yeah, it
cannot
did.
you can't say anything about people's feelings about a particular game if you have Spider-Man sitting up there with the amount of backlash that it got after the reviews came out, right? That we are listen, what's ACG, right? He came out, he said, listen, I don't know what took place. Okay. The game we played had 0 bugs. Everybody who gave that game high score, 0 bugs. The game comes out, they do a day 1 patch, ruins the game for the actual players who are paying for it, right?
Yeah, that
Everybody
part
who
does
reviewed it,
confuse me,
they
to
got
be
their
fair.
game for free, right? No problem, game for free, dope. Everybody who paid for the game, they're screwed. Now, Insomniac, instead of saying, "Oh my God, we did some crazy shit. We put out this patch that ruined the game for everybody who spent their hard-earned money
Yeah,
on
I
it.
mean, if that is
Let's
true, then
go
just like
ahead
roll
and
back
roll
that
that patch back,
Right.
okay? Because we're a
But
huge company and we keep every version of this damn game that we make. Let's roll it back so that the people who paid for it get to play the game that everybody's reviewing, right? Everybody reviewed it. Let's give them that game, and then we'll figure out whatever bullshit we got to do in the back end to make the changes we want. No, they let that shit sit there with no patch to fix it. It took 11 days that they claim how many cells they got. We got that another 10 days after that, and that's when the patch came out. That's when the patch came out, that they finally fixed some stuff, supposedly. How are you
yeah,
going to sit there and say that now, after that, all the players, the people who actually spent their money on that, would have said
yeah.
that was worthy of Game of the Year? Come on,
Well,
man.
because I played
Over
it when it
something
had
like
all of those
Starfield
bugs.
that had none of those issues, that had nothing but praise,
Well,
that they put a graphic out that showed 54 9s and above,
To
and
be fair to
over
Danny, he
almost
did
half
have
of that, they
issues.
were 10s.
I had
Danny
I
had
had
a
a lot of problems with
particular-
Starfield,
yeah.
and I also ran into a lot of bugs with Spider-Man. I would personally put both of them in my Game of the Year category. Like if I was picking my 6, both of them would have made that list, right? Like and to your point, like I lost like a 60-hour save in Starfield because the game would
Yeah,
not
I
allow me to
remember that.
progress. In Spider-Man, the worst bug I ran into is I had to reload a save from like 30 seconds ago. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah, but at what scale
these are
did that
two
happen?
very different
Right?
categories,
But
right?
at what scale? Because I think
Similar,
we're
very
rocking the
similar
same
scales for
Twitter.
me between the two. Like I had two.
No, but when we're
2 or
rocking the
3
same
different
Twitter,
instances.
we're not seeing that Starfield hate, right? That's
I did.
not out there. Dude. We're in the same Twitter space. The scale at what we saw for Spider-Man is crazy.
Well, but you
It's
also have to
crazy.
keep in mind that we are in the Xbox bubble of Twitter, right? And so, like, we are going to see people being more happy with Starfield because it's on our platform and being more negative to Spider-Man because it's not,
That's
right?
not actually I saw the
and-
But
opposite.
54
that's not
outlets
because
said it was a
we
9
are.
or above.
I
This is
saw
not
a
the
lot of
Twitter.
our-
That's
I
not a
did about
bubble.
I actually saw a lot of our Who's brothers being particularly negative to Starfield. Actually,
The
course,
negativity
sure they
was through the
were.
roof. Let's call a
Of
spade
course.
a
I would
spade.
dare
But listen,
say
But you
Starfield
remove
got more
Xbox
scrutiny
and that
than
all
the
goes
minigames,
away.
Actually, I
you-
would actually argue that. Sorry, Boom.
no,
I know
no.
you're trying
It's
to be
this
fair.
conversational
Fair
podcast.
flow.
I
It-
love
it's
to
fine,
have it,
dude.
but you
I
know
like how
what?
he slandered you when you came on the show. So welcome. Welcome aboard.
Paris, what I kind of want to get is an understanding on how this actually works, because there is no clear derivative of how these nominations, how many nominations, how do you guys and gals come to 6 out of, I mean, are you presented with 30? Do you come up with your own list? How actually does this work? Because again, you know, I know that there's a lot of people, and maybe you're even one of them that doesn't believe there is an actual Xbox tax. I would disagree with you. I think that there is. I think that the journalistic integrity of not everyone, we talked about this before, but there was a subset of outlets that I think do consider PlayStation to be their brand, and as such, will rate it higher because it is their brand. Now, that's not everybody in gaming media. Let's understand that. But I still think that there is, a quote unquote Xbox tax that no one's going to move me off of this hill. I believe that it's out there because it's been told to us by many outlets. But I'm just curious. One of the things that we have no idea because we're not a part of the voting. We're just a podcast, right? You, because you are Paris Lily, and you bring a significant amount of worth when you're on screen, when you are in the gaming media as you are. You've done it with Gamertag Radio. You've done it with the XCast. You've done it with Xbox because you've hosted a couple of their events. So I'm just curious, how does the actual voting work with the Game Awards? How do you guys come up with, okay, it's going to be this amount of games. You come back, you pick from this, and somehow everyone kind of just puts their stuff together, all 120 people, and that's how they come up with the 6 nominees.
So there's a lot. there's a lot there, which is why I came up in the first place, because I had heard my name and as I was casually watching, so I figured I'd come up. So there's a few different things that I do want to address, but I do want to be clear about one thing. After my last appearance on here, I am not here to change anyone's minds.
No, of course not. You shouldn't have to. If people are, people are going to think what they think, brother. That's fine.
They're going to think what they think. Because the conversation spread to other podcasts that I may or may not have been stealth watching as well. But the reason I bring that up is, it's fine though. But the reason I bring that up is, I can only give you my perspective on things and how I see it. So I even saw in the chat, people were wondering what my voting looked like. If you go on Twitter and look at my Game of the Year list, I'll tell you exactly how I voted. But for Gamertag Radio, it's 3 of us. It's myself, it's Danny, it's Pete. We sit down, we take those categories. So the literal categories that you see for the nominations, that's what we're given. We pick six games that should be a part of that list, like Game of the Year, as an example. We go round robin. Hey, what do we think the 6 games are going to be? If we're all in agreement on the 6, then fine, we move on. If we're in disagreement, we'll debate it amongst ourselves. And then basically it'll come down to a vote, majority wins in that scenario, right? So that's how we do our nominations. I cannot speak for Kind of Funny. I cannot speak for IGN or anybody else on how they vote. I understand the frustration, especially from the Xbox perspective of seeing a game like Starfield. Because again, if you go look at my Game of the Year list, I have consistently had it in my Game of the Year list because I do think it is a Game of the Year. Obviously I did a review on it, the whole thing. Was it perfect? No, it was not. But yeah, I think what Todd Howard and that team did was phenomenal on various levels. So even if it wasn't nominated for Game of the Year, there are other categories outside of RPG that I think that game should have been nominated for. But that's my personal opinion. Biases aside, conspiracies, whatever people want to think. Again, I'm not here to change anybody's mind. So I get it. I understand the frustration on that. That's why I even tweeted yesterday. I'm just getting off Twitter today because I knew it was going to be chaos. I knew it. Remember, I said it when I was on last time. I knew this going in, that it was going to be chaos. I was personally surprised to see Resident Evil 4 on there. I do not think a remake should be in the Game of the Year list, as an example, right? Obviously there's the Dave the Diver stuff with the indie games. Obviously, to defend Geoff, as far as the Destiny 2 thing goes with community, these votes had already been tabulated. So there was nothing he could have done post what Bungie did to remove them from the nomination list, because in any other year, nobody would have blinked an eye to see Bungie in the community list. Because, I've obviously been a huge Destiny person over the years. And, up until this year, their community team has been industry leading, in my personal opinion. So got to cut them slack on that. As far as the Hogwarts Legacy
stuff.
Can
I ask you one thing before you go?
Sure.
With that being the case, the nominations don't go into full effect until next week, right? So couldn't they just remove that if that's the case and say, hey,
because now you're telling how outlets voted, your vote doesn't count because of something the company did. Again, I understand why it still made the list, is my point. Do I agree with it? No, I'm not sitting there saying I agree with it, because obviously, like everyone else, I don't like the way that Bungie handled their layoffs, and it goes against everything of them being the best in the community. Like, I'm just telling you right now, Well, no, it's nominated. The people vote on who actually wins. They won't win, obviously, post what happened with Bungie, but them being nominated, right. You can't take that away. So to the point of what you're saying, my next point here, Hogwarts Legacy. Should it probably have been nominated? Yeah, probably should have been. It was a good game, but we're all human. There's just a reality of it. I said, if you go back to kind of funny when we were doing our whole fantasy draft stuff, when we were picking games, I said then, this was January 2023. I go, there's no way in hell Hogwarts Legacy is going to win anything. It's going to be too controversial because of J.K. Rowling. That's just the truth. You know what I mean? Whether we agree with it or not. So that's why you're not seeing it. We may not like it, but that's just the reality of it again. And I will tell you on my own personal voting list, no, I did not have Hogwarts on anything, but I also did not play it. So that factors in as well.
But Paris, doesn't that show like the exact bias that people claim doesn't exist? Like, yes, it's just the idea that they're saying that, oh, because of J.K. Rowling, we're probably not going to be there. Wouldn't that, without taking too much of a leap, allow for the idea that because it's Xbox, they don't want to vote for it? If you can put your bias in one place, why would that not easily translate to another place?
But see, this is where, and again, I'm not trying to replay the last time I was on here, because again, you're going to believe what you want to believe. But this is where I go in again and say, this is going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. There are going to always be individual biases and preferences to anything. My only argument going back to last week was, don't blanket the entire industry that way, because it's not true.
No, I would never. See, I've said that, and when you were here, I said this with you. I said, look, I don't agree, and I will never sign off on putting everyone under an umbrella. You cannot do with anything. It doesn't matter whether it's race, creed, color, sexual orientation, politics, or gaming. I would never do that. I would never subscribe to that. I think there are going to be individual biases. I think you're onto something. But like I was saying,
let me say this. Here's the reason why I say this. And I know the chat gets mad at me, and I get all the hate that I've been getting recently because of it. Here's why I say that. I've been extremely lucky that I get to see on the other side of the curtain. So I know how the sausage is made. And that's why I will point this out. There are a lot of good, genuine stand-up people that you may not agree with their opinion, but they're being who they are. And I'll always defend that on the individual person basis. I get people getting upset about certain things, but that's why I say there's not this vast conspiracy. But I will leave it at that, because I do not want to replay that. But there's something else I do want to bring up, because I heard you guys talking about Spider-Man 2. Again, I think one gentleman already said this. I will tell you right now, when I played that pre-launch, maybe 3 crashes. Minor bug here or there, nothing that was egregious, outstanding to what we saw once the game came out. So clearly the patch that they put out changed the game and basically broke it for the consumer. And I agree, you spend $70, it shouldn't be that buggy, the whole thing. But the reason you see the outstanding reviews is because I'm telling you now, when we played it pre-launch, it was not having these issues. It just wasn't. That's just a God honest truth. And I know people don't necessarily want to believe that either, but that's why you see that getting the high marks that it does from a review standpoint. And that's also probably why that you're seeing the people that voted on Game of the Year put it in that list, because from what I played, did not shock me at all to see it in Game of the Year. But I understand post-launch, a lot of the things that were broken, the Cuban flag, I get all of that people are upset about that and frustrated about that. But that's why you see certain things the way it is. All I'm saying is this. The Game Awards process is not perfect. It's not. 100% it's not. I get it. I get you look at certain things getting nominated and you're scratching your head. Well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Again, I'm going to slightly defend Geoff again and saying he's trying to do the best that he can by putting it in the hands of the actual people that are reviewing these games, that are playing these games, which are, the journalists, the influencers, creators, whatever you want to call it, right? And letting them create the nominations. And then it's the people themselves that actually vote on those nominations. So at the end of the day, Baldur's Gate is probably going to win Game of the Year because it deserves it. And the people that are actually voting, the general public are the ones that are going to decide that. I mean, what was it? Was that last year? I can't even remember. It Takes Two. Was that last year or the year before? I can't remember. But
was it last
look,
year?
that one.
Well, it's not the general public though, right? The only general public one is the people's one, right? Everything else, they just take a percentage.
Yeah, the general
I think it's 10% of the.
Well, no, my point on that is the media isn't deciding game of the year. I mean, they set up the games that will be voted on, but I don't get to decide game of the year. My vote does not carry that weight into what will win game of the year. Is kind of my point. Like I even saw it today,
right? I think it's a percentage of your vote. Like the media, everybody who voted, those votes are going to count. It's just a percentage of the people's vote.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
That's why they have a category for the people's vote. If it wasn't, then every game would be the people's vote.
But that means something that was not nominated is my point.
Oh, okay. So the people's vote is only bringing up.
Right.
So, Harris, to your point on that, I do agree that some people there, probably most, right? I'll give them a little leeway. So probably most have some integrity, but I think and I know you do, so I wasn't slandering you. Or
the chat don't.
Well, the chat.
That's fine. They come after me too.
It is what it is. Sometimes they turn.
It's all perspective.
And he called it for a bit here too. Actually,
that's the problem.
Well, no. You know what? Pause on what you're going to say, because actually I want to address something the gentleman said before I came on, because you brought up the fact that I got like a PlayStation 5 before other creators, things like that. Here's the truth on all of this. Again, I work with PlayStation just as much as I do Xbox. It's just a fact. Xbox is way more public facing than PlayStation has, as far as obviously you see a Phil, a Sarah, and Aaron, people like that are public facing. You see their social media accounts be way more engaging and interactive on that. Obviously, I'm on an Xbox podcast. I've hosted Xbox shows, done all things like that. But I also do stuff with PlayStation as well. Yeah. Yes.
I think that's the thing.
No,
is because
but my point is this. No, my point is this. People label me as a quote unquote Xbox person, which is fair because I love Xbox. I'm not here without Xbox. If people go back through my history, it is because of Xbox and engaging with that community that has gotten me to where I am today. But I just love games, period. I feel like I'm going to judge an Xbox game the exact same way I'm going to judge a PlayStation game, a Nintendo game, Ubisoft, or whatever the case may be. There's not that quote unquote, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I'm not just the Xbox person, right? If I thought Redfall was a 2 out of 5, as an example, I make no excuses for Redfall. Obviously, I told Phil Spencer that directly, to his face in an interview that we had. Right. I've said things in the past where I've been very critical of Xbox. It's because I want to see Xbox succeed and be great. That's why when I am critical of something, but at the same time, I'm not going to artificially downplay something that I love on PlayStation just because it's PlayStation, and right? I call it like I see it.
Yeah. You're not just an Xbox gamer, you're a gamer, you're saying. And I respect that. And listen, I've talked with you plenty of times in spaces, etc. I believe you. I trust that you are genuine, you have integrity. The problem I have, though, and a lot of people will will get at you because of the kumbaya thing. And I think that has
that's who I am.
I know it is, but that's how it comes off, right? So my thing is this is my problem with the whole thing. And because you were saying like a lot of these people, that's who they are. But I cannot fathom in my head that Hogwarts got 0 nominations for anything. To me, that is agenda. That is cowardice. That is them dodging that because they knew the controversy around it. That's why I say I don't think this was just them saying, "Oh, this is what we thought."
Here's what I'll say in defense of that. And I don't know this for a fact. I wouldn't say it's 0. It probably just didn't get enough votes to be in the top 6.
Right. Okay.
On any category.
I think the problem is when you look at the landscape of it, right? Like for instance, you were like I was saying, like perception, right? Like that's the situation, right? So like, as Xbox fans, right? Who listen? I have PlayStations. I mean, everybody watch my streams. I got the Spider-Man PlayStation. I got all that stuff. I'm everywhere, right? I love games in general, right? Yes. I put my dollars in for PlayStation probably more than most do. So when I look at it, I look at it as a fan of the games. What I can't stand is the fact that it gets downplayed that Xbox is like treated just as fairly, right? Like you said, like, yeah, there's some biases, right? But probably not overwhelming, right? But like, see, when we see like you're on an Xbox show, right?
Mhm.
XCast, right? You're on, you've done Xbox physical shows, like
Mhm.
on stage, we see you up there, Xbox dude, right? But when you look at the reality is that you are a overall gaming dude, right? So you
Mhm.
you just happen to be on that particular show. You just happen, in I don't mean happen like just randomly. Obviously, your credentials allow you to be on these things. It's just the fact that you're happen to be on the Xbox only show. That could have very easily have been a PlayStation only show, and you would have been okay being on there because you don't have any big lean, right? Like you could have been on either. And I think the problem that Xbox fans do, and this is not to treat you as if you're the you're the problem of this, is not at all. But it's just it's the just to kind of give you a perception for the people who are pissed about this, is that even the Xbox shows are not for Xbox people, right? Like PlayStation shows, for the most part, those are all PlayStation heads. You don't look at Beyond and think that Brian O'Tonnell is secretly an Xbox dude, or Max Scoville is secretly a more of an Xbox dude, but he just happens to be doing this. No, they're PlayStation through and through, right? I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, kind of funny, love kind of funny, right? But we know that as a brand, they were PlayStation through and through until they brought in XCast, Mike,
Mhm.
Snowbike Mike, they brought him on, right? All that stuff. So the issue is that for us Xbox people, there is no like real representation, right? Because if we want to look at it as, we're fans, just like a football fan would be, right? Sports team, die hard, right? You rep your team. No, if another person comes about and talk about their team, yeah, you respect that, but you think your team is better, and you want that. You would be upset if it wasn't getting the same burn as another team, right? Like if NFL said, you know what, we're going to represent all these teams, but we're going to leave yours out, or yours get played every time when it comes up to nominees for best team, right? We don't have that on Xbox side. All of the Xbox shows outside of the smaller YouTubers are all the same. Xbox's show on IGN is they're not Xbox diehards anymore. They took them out. Now they bring in PlayStation dudes. Like in the big scale, Xbox is pushed back. And that's what we see, and that's what we deal with. And that's the problem, right? That's where we
So
feel like it's bullshit.
I hear you on everything you're saying. And so I'm going to push back on what you just said from my perspective, in that my preference, and again, I'm on XCast, so I'm going to defend the show that I'm on. Let's be crystal clear here.
Yeah.
My preference is Xbox. I have no problem talking about PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, or anything else.
I don't think any of us do, to be honest.
Right,
with you.
right. I'm going to his point of, you're saying that you don't have a show that's diehard Xbox. Again, you tell me, you watch. I'm only giving you from my perspective of what we talk about every week. I'm on XCast every week. We talk about Xbox. We talk about what's going on in Xbox. We're talking about what can Xbox do to be better, right? Here's what we like. Here's what we don't like about it.
Gary doesn't hold anything back. He's
exactly
100% himself.
Gary is the rawest of raws. But my point on that is, and this is the question that I'm going to throw back to you, is, do you want a cheerleader, or do you want someone that's going to tell you the truth?
Well, I mean, this is a thing. In a world where we have Twitter, right? Like we have access to all the information, right? So when we go to these places, I think most people, when they go there, like they already have a concept of what the news is, right? They just want to hear your take on it, right? And I mean, just being that person who's been, before doing my own thing here, who's been the guy in all of these shows, annoyed at the fact that it's always the Xbox dudes that want to be the realist, right? I say, want to be real, where I watch also PlayStation podcasts before many times. I used to watch them both a lot. Where that's not the same on that side, right? And I feel like Xbox is we had a show, I don't know, a few months ago, and like I would tell you right now, if you had Phil Spencer come out and without being judged for it, okay, without him having to hear any shit about it, and you put PlayStation fans in a group and you put Xbox fans in a group, forget about the amount of them, just the ones, right? Like just who's there, right? If you told Phil, pick one, which one you want, which one you prefer to have as your fans, 100% he picks PlayStation. 100%. Because PlayStation fans, as much as is whatever, they ride or die for their system, right? There's a talk that we have here. We're Spanish, me and my wife, my family, right? We come and I'm sure you guys are the same, right? You come from your background and you look at it and like there's certain things you say to your family behind closed doors, and then there's different things that you say outside, right? If you want to like bitch and moan about your people, like you have Phil's DM, right? You got these people, you could hit them up, be like, yo, this is what's going on. And I'm not signaling you per se. I'm just talking about the bigger spectrum of it. Like there's a little bit of softness on the Xbox side where everybody feels like they need to appease the image that they're fair, they're justified. Whereas these PlayStation dudes go on these streams on their show, big places, and they don't even think about it. They just rep their shit hard.
I think there's a part of this
frustrating, bro.
That we need to
frustrating that we can't have people who just say, you know what? Yeah, Xbox has this little thing going on, but like we don't need to make it the end of the world as if it doesn't. If it doesn't get fixed, then Phil Spencer should die. Like my man lives on what have you done for me lately every single day of his life, bro. Anything pops up, anything. They raise the price in Brazil. Oh shit, if this shit happens, yo, Phil, get out of here, bro. We're done. We need somebody else in there who won't raise the price. Like, yo, we need, like, yo, they're soft, dude. No matter what it is, they find a reason to bitch and moan to the highest degree. Not a, yo, I understand. You know what? Xbox has given us so much. Maybe, just maybe, they need to raise the price somewhere to justify some of this cost that they're doing. When they spend $80 billion on it. $80 billion. Come on, man.
Daniel, let's get in here, Daniel.
I think there's an aspect of what you're saying that we have to acknowledge is just perspective, right? Like we're not watching every PlayStation content creator, every PlayStation show, right? And a lot of the ones that we're going to be shared on Twitter is going to be the people from our fan base who are going to be like, look at this idiot. I can't believe that this idiot said this thing. But if you
let's not assume that we also can't just find the stuff ourselves, right? Sure, like we're not beholden to Twitter. Like I got the same YouTube as everybody else. If I want to watch a PlayStation show, we hear about the big ones. We know who they are.
That's my point.
I can observe it myself without Twitter telling me about it.
And like to bring in some names who I think are really great examples of this, like Greg Miller is thought of as one of the biggest PlayStation people on the planet. And I think he probably is. Like he wears that on his sleeve. He's a big PlayStation fan. That's his beat. He loves it. He's also, I think, one of the biggest fans of Starfield this year that I've seen on the internet. Like he loves that.
And that's my point.
And that guy is 100% honest and says exactly what he means all the time. And does he prefer PlayStation? Yes. And that's fine. Blessing Adeoye, same thing, right? He just put out a video earlier this year where he was like, I don't know about this games as a service thing, right? So like they are showing up and
I don't trust
saying negative things about PlayStation where
I don't trust Blessing. I'm not with you on Blessing. I'm with you on Greg, not Blessing. I remember some of the things he did.
The fact is he put out a whole video about how he didn't think that the games as a service thing that they were doing was going to work. And he caught a lot of flack for that from his fan base, right? And I saw it on Twitter too, right? Like people were coming after him for saying something that I think a lot of people probably already agreed with, was just like, this is a weird thing to happen all of a sudden. And a lot of weight being put behind this decision all at once, right? And you even look at like Podcast Beyond, who is IGN, and IGN catches nonstop flack for being PlayStation or whatever. If you look at some of their more recent podcast titles, it's like, I don't know about I forget exactly what the titles are, but like they have not been sugarcoating things. They might be, again, on the PlayStation side of things, like that's their preference, that's their beat. But like they are coming out and being like, I don't know what's going on with this games as a service thing. I don't think it's a good thing that they've delayed half of this gas slate, right? Like they are more on the PlayStation side of things, but that doesn't mean that they're just ignoring everything that's happening, right?
I also feel like there's a bubble that's been building up against them, and they're starting to see that maybe they need to do this, right? Because
Well,
I can tell you right now,
that I will definitely say.
if you listen to that thing that went around everywhere, that podcast of Beyond, where the dude, I don't remember his name, but he's the young kid that wore the PlayStation chain while talking shit about Xbox.
That's Blessing.
No. Blessing's on Kind of Funny. I'm talking about on IGN.
That little Xbox little chain, because Blessing had he had the PlayStation.
I don't remember his name, but he was literally on the show. Okay, he was literally on the show, and he said that if Spider-Man doesn't get a 9, that I'm gonna have words with whoever reviewed it. Right, like it was a big deal. Now, listen, I can tell you right now, I don't know. I don't work for these people, but I own a business, right? And I know that if my employee went around saying some shit like that live on the air, you have to figure that my man has so much confidence in the idea that he wouldn't get talked to about saying that shit to feel that comfortable doing it. How would you allow anybody who works there to say that if that game doesn't get a 9, that there's going to be problems?
Okay, but then let's look at the repercussions.
But they gave it an 8. My point is that they gave it an 8. Now I'm just saying, my point is that they gave it an 8 after the backlash, right? So they did that, and listen, you know damn well Spider-Man would have been a 9 to IGN, 100%, bro. Think about the games that they've given reviews to. Okay, it would have been a 9, but because he said that, they were like, all right, we can't give it a 9. We can't give it a 9.
Look, I'm just really confused by how you're saying, out of one side of your mouth, you're saying that IGN doesn't care and they're PlayStation focused, and now the other side, you're saying that they changed the review score because of backlash from Xbox fans. Like,
well, I'm
saying now they're trying to make this change
in the same reality. These two things cannot both be true.
Well, no, one thing is leading to the other. Right, the fact that everything is catching up with them, now they're starting to try to change some of these things. But the fact of the matter is that we've been here for the whole part. Dude, how many times have they left Xbox off of these games that are on Game Pass coming out day one into Game Pass?
They've made some errors that have seen egregious, and
they can't argue that shit.
They've continued to make those mistakes, whether they're purposeful or not. All I'm going to say is this, folks. Look, this has been an amazing conversation, which we have at least another 32 minutes to do and continue to hash out. We did hear from C Money on what particular category that he picked. We heard from Infinite Umbra what he picked. Danny, I want to grab you in, and I'm going to bring Paris in on that conversation as well. But before we get there, you guys got to give me a second to catch up on these super chats because people are dropping them like bombs, and there's a lot of them. And I do not want to wait to the end of the show because a lot of people get really upset about that, and we don't want the people, feel like their voice and is not being heard. So let me just handle that. BT Maverick 707 drops a $10 super chat and says Starfield would have been a game of the year or at least nominated if it was a PlayStation exclusive, and it doesn't take much deduction to show that is the case. See, and I hate to say this, I think we're having a totally different conversation. We've seen the media. Perfect example. And again, I know Metro is the kind of paper that you use for your puppy that they poop on. That's what Metro is, folks. They actually went out and said, we would love to give Hi-Fi Rush a higher review, but because Xbox doesn't have a lot of first-party games and it's not on PlayStation, well, we're going to give it this. And I hate to say this. I understand it's Metro. Take it for what it's worth. It's garbage. Sorry, it's just garbage.
The problem is their point of view actually counts. That's the problem.
But see, that's exactly the point. That's exactly my point. And I hate to say this. That's not everyone. Understand? We're not throwing everybody under the umbrella here. But that is a young man or young person's sentiment that unfortunately is considered gaming media that has a voice that will write for a publication and potentially will vote on something based on a bias of Xbox not being their brand. That it does, in fact, happen. Bunty drops a $5 super chat and says, I just turned on my Xbox and the reward this week is to play GTA. Hint, hint, this is coincidence. Let me know what you'll think.
Go buy the building, baby.
Yeah,
go buy the building.
I say get the marketing for that and put the boot, but you're never going to get that as an exclusive or in Game Pass. It's just it's going to make $1 billion the day it releases.
Depends on how much money they want to give up, but yeah,
it's
what is with these spoilers on Starfield right now, bro?
I just saw your doppelganger Paris chilling on the screen.
Damn it!
I know you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it.
I feel like you need to go collect some dollars on that.
Yeah,
I think I need to do.
They literally said, you know what? Let's copy that shit.
Vladimir does very, very, very much resemble, and it's funny because someone actually took a picture of him of you, Paris, where you were working out and you had a striped shirt, kind of similar. And
I did that on purpose.
You remember? You did that. Okay, yeah. That's great.
It was funny seeing Vladimir, this gigantic big black dude, and he's like, "Oh yes, welcome to this traveler." I'm like, "Why are you talking like that?"
So I can tell you, I may or may not have gotten a DM from somebody at Bethesda who said, "I think we might owe you a royalty check."
That is hilarious, dude. Wow. Because it's not 1-to-1, obviously, because you didn't mocap. They didn't mocap you within your sleep, but it is very close. Gamer,
you're a prominent person who we know what you look like, and it does come. It looks close.
Can I address that very point that you said?
Sure.
I'm not saying this because I got a big head, because trust me, I don't. But you said I'm a prominent person. You know what I look like, right? That's one thing that with all of what we do, it's very easy to be critical of people who put themselves out there to the public, right? So obviously I get criticized, whatever, the whole thing. I got to have the thick skin to do it. Fine. But take that into account when you think about people giving their opinion. They're putting themselves out there with their opinion. You may not like their opinion. I get all of that. And you can disagree with it 100%. Just all I'm saying is just,
hey, Umbra, please take over the show. I'll be back in 5.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, man. Of course. I got to tell you, this is almost like, if I would say it, I would say this is almost like your Phil Spencer moment, Paris. Like, you just came up here and you knew that you came back, right? Last week, the last time you were here, you were saying, that you were, wishy-washy about coming back because of the way people were talking, right? And the fact
trust me. I almost didn't come up now for that very fact, because
that's what I'm saying. The fact that you did, right, shows something. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you were on this podcast that I was casually watching, and there was like a whole segment where I was basically catching strays because I gave my opinion about something. The truth of the matter is, I'm one of the few people who actually will come out and give my opinion. You know what I mean? Unprompted.
And then come here and actually stand behind it, which is the problem with the opinions that get thrown out, right? Because too many of these people throw out words and then they hide behind it, right? They just stay behind it. They don't address it, or they ignore the people who are differing with them, right? Who feel different from them. Whereas you come in here, sitting down, actually kind of facing it as well. You're kind of the voice of everybody else that want to be talking to, but they won't show up.
Yeah. But here's what. Because here's why. Again, we're having a truth moment here. Because back in the day, when I've been doing this a long ass time. Because back in the day when I was coming up, I was on that other side, wishing I could be able to talk to someone that had some more insight or knew a little bit more than what I was, had an opinion on or was speculating on. And they were nowhere to be found, right? The few people that were, these are my friends to this very day. But I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. My opinion and what I think is absolutely no more valid than yours or anybody else in that chat. Right. I'm just lucky. Period. Point blank. I'm just lucky.
I'm egotistical enough to think that my opinion matters.
Of course you are.
Of course, he's also greedy. Umbra. He wants Xbox though and everything.
But I will give you that love though, Paris, because the moment from when you were getting like promoted out there and you did your thing with Xbox, all of us got behind you on Xbox.
Yeah, we did. We absolutely 100%. Yes.
In my honest opinion, I think sometimes a lot of our guys on our side go overboard. I think you happen to stand, as somebody put in the chat, you happen to stand on business, and I agree with that. I think you are fair. I've said that before. I don't say this because you're here or because you jumped in the chat. I actually really think you're a fair guy, and we've talked plenty of times again in spaces and such. I think you have valid reasoning and logic, and you've said plenty of things that actually came true on Xbox side of things. I do believe you feel that you want the best for Xbox. That's why I rock with you. Now, some of the other people, you know, the blessing types, I don't know if they're as authentic on the Xbox side. Greg, I will agree with Danny. Yeah, but I'm sorry, blessing can't get my.
I think
blessing.
the biggest problem that parents face is the fact that he's on an Xbox show.
Why are we coming
And
after
people-
blessing all of a sudden?
people who
Yeah,
are
I'm about to
not-
say I can't let
Why
the
are we
blessing
doing
thing go.
this?
I can't let the blessing thing go because that's my brother. I love blessing, and trust me, I do not agree with blessing a lot either. But
I bet you don't.
But the point is, he's allowed to have his opinion.
He
and his
absolutely
thoughts
100%
on certain things.
1,000%.
And I think that's one thing that I see a lot. Here's what I'm trying to say overall. Forget blessing, forget me. Just overall, people are going to have opinions. You may not like their opinion, but respect that they have an opinion. That's all. That's all it comes down to. Some of the comments, like I literally was catching straight.
Dude, some of the stuff that was said to me yesterday was, I'm ex-law enforcement, so I got a lot of that, and I laughed it off like it's like water on a duck, right? To me, it doesn't matter. You're dealing with people for 15, 20 minutes, and they're just nasty people, and you just let it go. Some of the stuff that was said to me yesterday regarding, just having this opinion, and it wasn't a pointed opinion. It's just like, hey, listen, I kind of feel like this is, make this make sense to me when you look at what this game on the screen has done versus some of the other choices. Again, have your choices. I think I was very fair. And dude, some of the stuff was just egregious.
Yeah, almost
so you
put out
block
an APB on them, huh? Boom.
Yeah, no, you put it. You know what? It's fine. People expose themselves to me. Pause. You block them. You know what I'm saying? You get rid of them.
But see, this is what I'm saying. This is why you will see certain people out there say what they say, and they keep it moving, and they will not engage or provide you any feedback as to why they're saying what they say.
Either, no,
because why put yourself through the scrutiny of people that are just going to blindly attack you and be misinformed, and a lot of times be misinformed about what they're saying at the same time. It's simply not worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the guy that took a screenshot of me from my own podcast and like, look at this 53-year-old old bastard console war, and I'm like, when did I console war? Like that's the last thing that I would do. You've never seen me go out and go anti whatever. I play everything.
Because look, I'm gonna keep it real again. Let me keep it real again, really quick, since we're talking on this subject. Like I said, the podcast that I saw, I guess that was last week or whatever, and the panel of people up there, a lot of these people I have engaged with before, and they were going on and on because they didn't like what I said on your show. Right. And
I didn't even know that.
And in some parts it started getting a little personal, things like that. Honestly, I watched it and I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I feel like if you're going to say that when you think I'm not around, just say it to me when I'm around and let's have that conversation. That's all it comes down to for me. I don't need people to agree with me, but don't say one thing when I'm there, but then say another when I'm not there.
No, that I agree.
Because you didn't like my opinion. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to always tell you what I think about a game, a system, a service, or whatever, what I think, because it's my opinion. But you don't have to agree with it. And that's fine. We can have a debate about it. We can have a conversation about it. But when I see just the nonsense that I see, this is why you see a lot of people that don't engage. I personally don't care. You want me to dive in the mud, we can dive in the mud and do it. That's why I'm here.
I think the hard part for people, and especially for me, I think in general, when it comes to the idea of giving your opinion, right? Like I kind of strongly believe like when you give an opinion, you want to put your perspective out there, right? When you do that, you also have to understand that when you speak, you're not speaking to the void. You have people who are hearing you, and when they hear your perspective and they hear your opinion, they also kind of have the right to feel what they feel about it, right? Now, like talking certain particular ways, fine. I definitely get that. Like there's sometimes where it's like harassment, right? That's a whole different ballgame. But when you feel strongly about what somebody else says, which is the whole point of having it, right? Like if you're giving your discussion and running away, then that's bullshit, right? Like then shut up, like keep your mouth shut and just stay to the void. Then if you don't want to be able to have a discussion on the opinion that you're giving, right? If you're going to give an opinion, then you definitely want, or you should be willing to have that conversation. Unfortunately, the people who are viewed, right? Like the people who have the platform to speak, they get to say their piece and choose when they want to interact with whoever they want to interact with. The rest of us down here who want to engage in that can't. So we engage in our own ways, right? And people engage how they want to kind of be able to get that word out there for even our small version of this, right? And I think the hard part is that when we see it, it's like, yo, if you're going to say something, then don't be afraid to kind of deal with the shit that comes from it, because you can't control what people feel about what you say, right? Like words matter, right? If you're going to say something, understand that people are free to take it however they choose to. It doesn't matter what you feel about what you said, right? It doesn't matter the way you said it. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the words that you said and how the people take it, right? That's the reality of what it is. That's why when my man Phil Spencer went on there and took the daggers on XCast and took fell on the sword for his teams, because he knew
that's what a leader's supposed to do.
That's exactly. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
And the problem is that in this version of this, where we have these personalities that go out there and they speak a certain way, especially, and again, I mean, Paris, you're the curse that you kind of have, and obviously it's not to you because you don't care, but the end of the situation for everybody else who's watching is that God damn it, Boom, with these spoilers. What am I watching on the screen? Why is this happening, bro?
Avert your eyes.
Oh my God.
Close your eyes, damn it. I didn't realize this is the one. Hold on. Let me just.
God damn it, Boom. Messing everything up for everybody.
Come on. The game's 100 years old already, for crying out loud.
Listen, not everybody got time to play like that, bro. All right. Jesus, I'm still working through it.
All right.
The problem is that when you're, whether fair or not, kind of given a view where you're on an Xbox show, you're on the Xbox stage, right? When people see that, okay, they're hoping that what that means is that you will be a little more on the side of Xbox. And when I say that,
let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. I'll take it back to what I said before. Do you want a cheerleader, or do you want someone that says the truth? And then when you say about being more on the side of Xbox, clearly I am. Can I curse on here?
Sure, go right ahead.
I catch shit every freaking day online, because how dare I like something that's on Xbox or stand up for something on Xbox? How dare I say that Starfield is one of the best games that I played this year? How dare I, want to love the Series S for everything that it is, just stuff like that, right? I catch that every day.
I can imagine.
So when you say that, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Not to mention, you bring up the Phil Spencer interview. Did we not ask the question that needed to be asked?
You guys put his feet to the fire. You did. Yep.
And that's the thing. But he was there and he took it, right? And that was pretty amazing, as a leader should do. He did a great job with it. And again,
but let's also say this.
The problem you have is that because you're in this middle world, right? That's the issue, right? So you catch it because you have the Xbox dudes who think that you're an Xbox dude, so they are annoyed or upset when they see you kind of give shit to the Xbox harder than we would need to in our minds, right? And then the PlayStation dude gets pissed because when they see you do that portion, they're like, oh, he's a PlayStation head. And then you go ahead and give them the smoke. And then it's like, yo,
you can't win for losing is what you're saying.
It's hard if you're in the middle.
But I've accepted that, though. I've accepted that. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I'm not going to all of a sudden stop being what brought me here in the first place, being a gamer and loving games. I'm gonna talk about what I like. I'm gonna talk about what I don't like. That's just who I am. Some people will like it, some people won't. That's fine too. But here's the thing: I'm not gonna stop.
Regardless, as you shouldn't. Listen, again, I apologize. I do got to catch up with the super chats. We're going to continue this conversation. Thanks for taking over for the 5 minutes. My new TV has arrived. Now, I don't buy a lot of big ticket items.
I had a feeling that's why you dipped away.
Yeah, I just bought the 65-inch OLED from Samsung, the S95C. It has been
fancy now, huh?
Yeah. Listen, my TV was from 2019. It was on its last leg, so I was like, you know what? I've been waiting for this TV. It came out originally at $3,800. I was like, yeah, I can't sanction when you're saving for a home $4,000. I just can't. So they dropped it down to $32.99. And just the other day, Mrs. Boom was like,
wait, boom. How much was it originally?
$37.99.
And they dropped it down to 32.
32.
I expected you to say a lower price than 32.
No, but wait a second. I didn't budge on $32.99. I waited. And then Mrs. Boom, in her greatness, as she is literally the steerer of the ship, was like, have you checked on the TV? Because Black Friday is around the corner. I said, I have not, honey. Let me take a look. $2,300.
That's about what
and it was a flash sale, pre-Black Friday stuff. And I'm like, oh my, I literally bought this TV right before primetime gaming. And I was like, I got to get this TV. And it just got delivered and I will set it up. But yes, that's I finally we need a full
unboxing now. Since you told us all about this, we need a full unboxing. We need to see.
Well, you're going to see the Xbox version. I know Paris has tried it. It has the Xbox Hub. This TV, which is I can just hook up a controller and play. So I'm definitely going to do. I want to check. I know Danny did that live actually, and Danny said it was like he couldn't tell it was not an Xbox.
Here's a pro tip on that when you talk about the Samsung Gaming Hub. So yeah, the Xbox app is on there, but GeForce Now is on there too.
Yes.
Use GeForce Now.
Okay.
For the gamepad. It's because here's the thing, like Starfield as an example runs way better on GeForce Now than it does on the Xbox app for cloud streaming.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video and do that, but Gamer by Choice drops a $5 Jen says maybe this is showing that voters for the awards are not playing on Xbox. If they only play PlayStation and PC, then maybe that explains Xbox being snubbed. Drawn TJ drops in a $5 Jen says, Umbra, we need to play Halo Infinite custom games this weekend. I found Call of Duty maps, and I made Call of Duty rules basically made for Call of Duty and Halo.
You kind of lost me on that a little bit though, TJ, because I don't care for multiplayer in Call of Duty that much, but I'll play it.
Also, I would definitely play.
Got to get you in there, brother. You don't know.
Dude, I'm so behind and getting down with this community. You don't understand.
I've actually joined your game in progress, and you stopped playing. I'm like, did he do this because I joined, or
no?
I'm just messing.
Writer for Life 76 drops a $5 super chat and says, "Boom! They're called wannabe thugs. They're jugs, keyboard thugs hiding behind." That screen, I call them keyboard cowards. That's not what I'm talking about. The trolls, not journalists, because that's I wouldn't say it about.
Listen, we are not redefining jugs here. All right, we're gonna leave that alone.
Torino Johnson drops a $5 super chat and says, "I acquired power that allows me to take the life force of my enemies, and I add it to my own. Also, the Pale Lady Ghost ship." And the colander, this game. Oh my goodness, Torino, I love you. Hector the
I didn't know we had an anime villain in the chat.
We have an actually 80s cartoon villain in the chat. I hope I didn't miss that. His
cousin.
Here he is. Hector the Macho Man drops a $2 super chat and says, "Boom, loved you on WBG talking that S." I mean, I jumped on. I love Dirk Cricket. I love their crew over there. There's just they have a lot of fun. They have a lot of fun. Review Scientology USA. Hello, welcome. The Xbox text is nonsense, says him. They nominated Xbox first-party games. People need to realize Starfield wasn't good. Final Fantasy VII deserved that spot more than Starfield. Hey, listen, brother. If that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. Thank you for the generosity.
That's your response. Mine is remove him from the chat. No, I'm joking.
Sharon TJ drops an additional $2 super chat, says Xbox needs to buy Take-Two and shut up Sony. Yeah, that's not going to happen. What they need to do is, in my opinion, honestly, is get the marketing for GTA, because then when you could put that on your box with Call of Duty, whenever that comes out, it's going to sell consoles. It's just good marketing. It's expensive marketing. And I don't have a marketing degree, folks. I'm retired popo. I have college, but I don't have a marketing degree, so I don't know if Microsoft would even take me serious.
We know that.
But 80s cartoon villain, one of the best names in the chat, who's been a channel member for 2 months, says, I believe it's time for Xbox to fully go into their villain arc after this snub, and I'm here for it. Helava drops a 250 super chat, or 250 pound super chat. I lost a friend because I played Hogwarts Legacy.
That's messed up.
That's dog, dude. Like, I'm sorry.
It wasn't a friend, my man.
It wasn't a friend.
You didn't lose anything.
I played, and I haven't beaten that game yet. I'm close.
Over again,
one of my favorite games of the year. And I know the Black Harry Potter. You're listening, brother, and I love you. And I will say you're going to be very, very happy with where that game shows up at my game of the year, my top 10, because I was mesmerized by how magical that game was.
Hogwarts was dope, man. I can't believe somebody would not like lose a friend over there. Like, why would
that's ridiculous? That's because you played that game. The author is whether
also
you
because
agree,
they weren't friends.
They had nothing.
It's simple. You're not friends. If you're a friend, that wouldn't happen.
Honestly, yeah, not your friend.
Well,
if they would,
you thought he was your friend.
Yeah.
It's what's called a one-side relationship. Right? You thought he was your friend. He was fast to drop your ass.
Pragmatic Eagle's been a channel member for 49 months. Dude, that is crazy. Thank you for the generosity. He says people need to understand that it's okay for opinions to be different. Don't make different opinions personal. Talk to the folks instead of being petty or personal. Indeed, Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops a $10 super chat and says Spider-Man isn't great, and it's a composite of the past Spider-Man games and some of the Arkham stuff Insomniac isn't great for standing on giant shoulders. I mean, look, look, Bold, I love you, and I hear what you're saying. See, for me, I proudly enjoyed Spider-Man 2. Gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I stand on that. I will not make excuses for it. I love Ted Price. I think he's an icon in the industry. I love Insomniac. I think that they are brilliant at what they do. This game is very samey. There is zero doubt. The car stops, the burning buildings, the burning tankers. It's very samey. It's very 2018. I like it because the story is personal for me. I like Miles. I like Peter. I like the villain arc that they had in there. Again, there's a lot to like, but there's some things that I didn't like, and the very sameness of it all is what annoyed me. It wasn't different enough from the two prior. When it came to,
I didn't care for those MJ missions too.
I didn't even get to them yet because I'm a map guy, so I'm trying to do all of Miles' uncle's stuff. I'm trying to do the Prowler stuff. I'm trying to do Peter's stuff. I don't want to beat the game. I don't beat those. I don't do an 18-hour run and said, yeah, I beat the game. I'll do 50 hours in Spider-Man 2. Because I'm a map guy. I like doing everything.
I landed in an 8.5 as well. And that's
for me.
I beat it twice to get to that.
Oh wow, that's saying something, dude.
Yeah, but I was at a 9 at first, but after I actually paid attention to the story more and the MJ part, I was like, okay. 8.5.
Yeah, it to me it's a strong 8.5. Dreadful Sean drops a $10 super chat and says, if all of these big name journalists and influencers have integrity, why are they not calling out the TGAs for Hogwarts not having any noms? Smash that like button, folks. I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't have any noms, but I can tell you that it's egregious that it doesn't. That game is brilliant. And like I said, like the author or hate the author, he had literally nothing to do with the hundreds, if not 1,000 people that worked on this game. And it's a disgrace. I'll stand on that stone that game, as great as it is, and my God, it's fantastic in every aspect, has no right to be this good. The fact that they go unacknowledged, like they did not release this year, is a travesty. That's my take. Bold Alpha, Dean Rivera drops a very generous $5 super chat, says, Paris, our Buccaneers got the win on Sunday. Love your opinions on the game as a prior service member, also airborne. Well, thank you for your service there, brother. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, Spider-Man had a budget of $100+ million. It should have launched clean as a whistle. I think what you're ultimately seeing is the result, and I know people hate when you bring this up, but COVID is It was a thing. It really did hurt game development because working from home is much different than, and I'm not a developer, folks. I don't want to know how the sauce is made, but I can imagine that working remote is much different than working with your teammates on the project in person. That's all I got. Okay, now this is Lau Simazaki. Lau, welcome to the program. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says the fact that they added Final Fantasy 16 in an RPG category, in my opinion, just shows how crooked the TGAs are. Complete disrespect to actual RPGs. Yeah, I think it was more of an action game than RPG, but it is Final Fantasy. I see the correlation. I don't agree with it.
What it is less crooked and less out of touch because the game, like you said, it doesn't really have RPG elements.
It is more Devil May Cry than it is Final Fantasy. 100%. Okay, so let's see. We're getting close to the end. There's a lot of them. Jesus. Chaos Might drops a $10 super chat and says, I'm not surprised that Spider-Man 2 woke trash was nominated. But I am surprised that Hogwarts Legacy didn't make the nominations. We all know that Baldur's Gate will win. Yeah, Baldur's Gate is probably going to clean house. There is no doubt. Again, not for me. And it was in my top 6. I just think that its influence on what it's done for the community who enjoy it, even though it's not for me, and I will never play it, even when it comes to Xbox. I'm just not going to play that game. You cannot disregard how incredible that game is. I've watched video. It's stunning to look at. I can imagine if you're vested into it, you're really going to enjoy it. Risk it for the biscuit, all the way from down under. Hey, brother, he drops an $8 super chat and says, Parish, should all games in the non-list be played by voters? AW2, which is Alan Wake 2, may not win because it's too new. How does that work?
So before I answer that, I have to tell a funny story about Risk It. First of all, congratulations on the baby.
Yes, he just had always a new addition to the family.
That's always a blessing. But I have a funny story. So at last year's Xbox Fan Fest, LA Summer Game Fest, whatever the hell you're calling it, right? In June, he was there. And he came up to me and he was like, I bet you don't know who I am. And I was like, I absolutely know who you are. See, this is what I'm saying. People think I don't pay attention. I pay attention. I know who people are in this community. I always thought that interaction was funny. But no, Riskit's a really good dude. To answer his question, I don't know. I don't know how you would handle that. Geoff has his cutoff date for when things can go in.
Which is actually tomorrow, technically. The cutoff date is the 15th. Yes.
Right. But again, I don't know how much I'm supposed to be publicly talking about this, but we get the nomination things at a certain point in time.
Yeah.
And then we have plenty of time.
From what I heard.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to be able to vote on it. I can just say for us, we kind of wait until we knew what games were coming out. We knew Call of Duty wasn't going to be in this list, right? So we waited until Alan Wake 2 was out and played Alan Wake 2 to then say, all right, now we can vote on everything, which ironically enough, glad we did, because Alan Wake 2 is my favorite game that I played this year, period, point blank. It's very true crime meets Alan Wake, or you can say Resident Evil, whatever. I'm in it. I was a little confused at first with the going back and forth to the board. Kind of it was a little disjarring, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Once I figured it out, I'm like, okay, this is very true crime. I do like true crime. I love Alan Wake. I love Remedy. I'm a big fan of Remedy stuff. Yeah. So I'm happy for Remedy that
I'm hearing a lot of masterpiece talk for this game. Do you all believe
it's phenomenal.
It's pretty damn close.
It is. It's pretty damn close. Yeah, I agree with Paris on that. The voice acting, the actress got the nom for the female FBI agent, which is phenomenal. I'm very happy for her. It's masterclass. It is Remedy at their absolute finest. Traybone 408 drops a $2 super chat and says, nowadays gaming company plus graphics wins you game of the year, not a GG. It's a bit of a popularity contest. It's true. It is definitely is. And we heard some behind the scenes stuff. You take it for what it's worth. Randy G drops a very generous $10 super chat. And Randy, welcome to the program, brother, and thank you for the generosity. He says, my problem with gaming journalists is not that they have biases. the problem is that they pretend that they don't. You can have a bias and be objective at the same time. I don't like being gaslighted. I mean, it's beautifully said, man. That's a strong point. Chargasm drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, remember, Xbox is only the free cloud saves. Did I miss something? I don't know. I guess you're talking about Sony charging you for the cloud save. Yeah, it's disgusting. And I don't like that. That is very anti-consumer. John Wolf, generous friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says,
Wolfie.
Yeah, can I use my reward points to pay the Xbox tax? No, you cannot, sir.
There's no money that can buy that tax, buddy.
That tax is for it's infinite. It's infinite.
They don't want your money. They just want you to be destroyed.
Torino Johnson drops a $5 super chat and says, I'm a filmmaker and Paris is right on how voting works. Example, the Oscars. I sit on various festival awards. Someone's always going to be angry. And there you go.
What
Johnson. Thank you for Risky for the Biscuit drops an additional £3 super chat and says, if you say Xbox, most will say it's a console war. Yeah, people, the minute, like I said, people were really saying some pretty heinous things to me about, you should be ashamed of yourself, whatever. I'm like, console war. That's probably the
bullshit, bro.
I know it's disheartening. I will agree with Parrot and he gets
it. If we change all our verbiage to PlayStation during this show, there'd be no word said. It would be a whole different ball game.
You are correct. Whole Grain Bread drops a $5 super chat and says, I know I said this last time, and I did tell Paris on Discord, but Paris, I want to apologize for my response to you the last time. Thank you for that, because he actually said that during the show, and unfortunately, I wound up reading everything on the back end because it became a lot. And you had already been gone. So Whole Grain Bread, thank you for being a proper gentleman as you are. Our good friend Slow-Mo Backslap, probably the best looking picture in all of gaming, says this after dropping a $5 super chat. If voters choose to ignore Hogwarts because of rolling, why not the same for Nintendo due to their association with Saudi money? Tastes like hypocrisy to me.
Not like King Spirit.
Okay, and this is the last four, and then then we'll do some outros. We'll get some final points. Bold Alpha Wolfpack, generous, very generous. I mean, Jesus Christmas, you dropped a lot of money here today, Bold. Thank you for the generosity as always. He says this after dropping an additional $10 super chat. This hurts Xbox MO of trying to reach 3 billion gamers. On the other edge of the sword is PlayStation consumers fueling rhetoric. Look, Xbox doesn't have great games. It's BS. I mean, it's definitely we're gonna see. I think there's gonna come a point, Bold, where the Xbox is not going to be able to be denied. They have so much cooking, and they're going to be.
That take is okay though. Like that take is okay that Xbox doesn't have great games. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that. When you hear that, that's like, come on, fam. Like. Don't even bring that shit out here talking that reckless shit. You damn well know Xbox has fucking bangers, bro. Don't even try to play me. PlayStation is trying to get into Xbox's game, dog.
He said,
they're trying to get into games as a service. Look at what you're watching on screen right now. You show me what PlayStation game can step to it. Nothing. Nobody. You can't play with your friends on that. You can't play with your friends on PlayStation unless you play multiplat. Come on, man. Why you think my boy Jim Ryan's out here begging, yo, please, let's get 12 games going. Somebody got to make a games as a service. Come on, man.
Well, Microsoft, they took risks. They took it on the chin for a long time with Sea of Thieves. Grounded was a passion project. Halo limped in to existence, and now they're all hitting. And on top of that, you got Call of Duty, you got ESO, you got Fallout 76. They are in the best out of the three. In my opinion, they are probably the best seeded to not only have first-party games work from the single-player aspect, but also allow for what Microsoft is known for, multiplayer, and somehow they're going to be in mobile, they're going to be in PC, and their gas games are all like literally hitting right now. Like today, there's a new Grounded update that gives you all of this additional stuff that it never had before. But Sir X-Men drops a $2
super
chat.
console, man. That's crazy.
No, it's not. It's my favorite console, and I'm not ashamed to say it. He says Jedi
numbers,
Survivor, no
no
nominations. I think Jedi Survivor got 1, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember what it was for, but I'm pretty sure they got 1. But
Cameron Monaghan was nominated for best performance.
There you go. Yeah, that's the one. Reggie Mobile 9, good friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says, "Great show, Boom. Great to see Paris pull up." Yes, indeed. And last and no way least, my brother from another, Smitty Smith, who's been a channel member for 42 months, says, "What's up, Boom? Great show, panel, and chat. I see you see money, and salute to Doodle, the Book of X." So, Paris, listen, brother,
was good,
it is honestly, like, I truly, truly appreciate that you took the time once again to hang out with us, give us some insight, give us your hot take, give us your opinion, kind of let people know what goes on behind the scenes, because everyone thinks it's easy to be a personality. Folks, I'm here to tell you it is not. And after what happened to me yesterday with some of the most egregious things I've ever seen, like literally ever seen in 6 years of doing this, I could imagine that Paris gets it worse because he's game. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say for sure. Gamer tag seems to be in its own dimension, and I don't think anyone would have anything negative to say, because what you and the team do are just amazing. But you're on an Xbox show, so of course you're going to get, hey, this guy's a bot, whatever. But Paris, where can people reach out to you on social media? But more importantly, check out some of the stuff that you're doing, especially with XCast, which is actually one of my favorite shows. And like I said, I don't know if I'm ever going to be big enough to get onto that show. But if you have any influence, if you run into Greg Miller, who I absolutely adore, and Greg freaking knows it, I'd love to guess even 5 minutes, brother. Sell your brand.
We don't have enough time, unless we do have enough time, but we don't have enough time. I could tell you the whole story about how I got on there.
Tell us. Absolutely. We got time.
I'll keep it short and sweet. So again, been doing Gamertag Radio since 2013, pretty much full time.
When I found you guys, you, Danny, and
Pete.
Pete, yeah.
So I knew of Greg over the years, and I remember at one random E3 one day, and he said hello to me, and I was like, "Whoa, you actually know who I am," which I thought was crazy. Fast forward, E3 2019. It's the first game, not E3 2019, excuse me, Game Awards 2019. It's the first Game Awards I ever went to, and I go, and Greg is there, and he came up to me. It was the first time we actually had a full-on conversation. And really got a chance to talk, got a chance to know him or whatever. It was that face-to-face conversation that then prompted him to want me to come on kind of funny. I was gonna go up to during GDC 2020. I was gonna go up there. I was gonna do the Kind of Funny podcast, and I was gonna be on KFGD. Then the pandemic happened. Obviously, none of that happened. They started XCast, if you remember, during the pandemic, 2020 with Alana. And Gary couldn't be on one day. And then they asked me to come on to fill in. And then that's what prompted basically everything. That and me being on IGN Unlocked accidentally one day has kind of prompted everything that's happened since that point. But just going to what you're saying, I mean, you never know when that opportunity is going to come. Just always be ready. You know what I mean? And be yourself. When you're doing those things.
Be who you are. I mean, that literally is what happened to me, and how the Double Barrel Gaming Network actually started. I originally started as a community guest on Mooch and Crap Gamers show.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to Mooch and said, hey, my bucket list, I kind of want to talk about video games. Do you ever have people on? And I went on once. He asked me again. I asked me a third time. He said, listen, do you want to join Crossfire? And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I stayed there for 2 years. And of course, we always disagreed. I don't agree with a lot of things that Mooch says, especially Crap Gamer. I definitely didn't agree with him, but it was fine. It was fine because I was out there and I made my space for me. And then I came up with, the network of shows that I do 5 days a week. And again, it's just me and the missus that handle it. She handles all the money stuff. She does all the prizes. She does some of the, she finds some of the stories. But obviously I'm going to be the voice of it. It's just the two of us. But yeah, you're right. You just never know, Paris, when that knock is going to come. I mean, listen, I talk about this all the time. I'm limited to what I can say because obviously, I don't want to give too much away. But I met Phil Spencer last year, and it was probably the highlight of my career. Like that dude is just as cool as the other side of the pillow. Now, will that ever happen again? I don't know. I can't. I really want to meet President Mrs. Bond, to be honest with you. Maybe that will happen one day, but we'll see. But Paris, thank you, brother. We super appreciate you being here, and obviously enjoy the rest of your day. And once again, thank you for taking the time. See, Money, let's sell your brand, because you and the missus, you do one of my favorite shows on YouTube. You work together as a family. You have your son, you have your daughter. You do the Monday morning, which you start the whole week off with Q and the missus. Talk about that. Let people know where they can subscribe to your very unique, incredible, family-based podcast.
Yeah, my man. Well, first of all, thanks again for having me, brother. Love being on the show. Love podcasting with my homies. Paris, it was cool to have you here, man, and get to kind of bug out. Yeah, so we On Point 4 Gamers is the channel. We do 4 shows a week. Monday mornings, we do start the week off right, talking gaming and what we love right in the morning. So that's at 9 a.m. Eastern Mondays, or 9:30 Eastern. Today is our show day, is our guest day. We have a guest show called Her, Him, and a Guest, where we interview some of the coolest people who are out here. Paris, one day you got to come visit. But yeah, we today is a big day, man. We got our boy xCloud Tim Dog. He's going to be joining us at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a fun one. And if you missed it last week, we had our boy Gaz from Game On Daily. That was epic. So definitely come check that out. And then Wednesday, this is a big change. Normally we rock on Thursdays, but we have some things that took place. Now we have to move our show. So Wednesday is our new show day, where we do On Point, the gaming podcast. And that show is going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that's with myself, my wife Doodle, and our eldest son Madman. So it's a fun show. We got a lot to talk about, especially with the Game Award situation that popped off. We definitely still have a lot to say, so definitely be there for that. And then Friday we have On Point Anime and Beyond. It's where we talk anime, TV shows, movies, all that fun stuff, anything in the pop culture news. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and that's our week, man. We definitely appreciate you guys. We've definitely had a lot of growth lately, so
you guys have been doing really good. Good work, man. Great work.
Yeah, man.
You're not at 11K for no reason, dude. And obviously, you guys are now on the hunt for 12K. So
hunt for 12K, man. We're a third of the way there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So
you keep doing what you're doing, brother. You and the missus do a great show. You represent the community in the best way, and we definitely got to get her back on here for sure.
Yeah, she wanted to be, but she could.
I know the little one.
Doodle.
Family is more
Shout
important.
Out to my Doodle. She's in the chat. My baby girl.
Yeah, she is, and she's always there. So thank you to her for
She's also the killer, the unknown killer. She's the killer.
Yeah, Mrs. Boom's the killer as well. I'm a nice guy. She always tells everyone I'm the yin, she's the yang for sure. And she does not. She cuts throats. That's just.
Oh yeah, well, Mrs. Umbra is better than both. Wait a minute.
Well, listen, Umbra, let's sell your brand, brother. You got to be exhausted. You work at night. Let's get you on that here, Umbra. By all means, sell the brand of the Fix. Yes, you and Danny do the show each and every Thursday. It's amazing. It's mostly gaming, but you do talk about pop culture it does happen to break. And there's been some Marvel and stuff where I'm sure you guys are going to cover at one point. They're going to reboot.
Oh yeah, we'll go into it. I don't know if we'll get a chance to really do it this week, with seeing how we have to,
there's a lot to get into. But sell the brand. Tell everyone where they can subscribe to the Vix each and every Thursday.
Yes,
and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yes, you can find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter X. You'll find me either way. I put my link there in the chat. You all, if you have not subscribed to her brother, do so. We have a good show coming up this week. So for a surprise guest, he didn't know it yet, but Paris will be joining us. I don't know if he agreed to that, but I'm just speaking truth to power. And
the check's in the mail.
Where you going, Paris? Why you taking your heads off? I ain't taking your heads off. No, but seriously, we have C Money joining us, my brother C Money, and we have Pixel Bit G joining us. So it's going to be a good
gentlemen gamers.
Oh yeah, and I already know both of them are going to bring the heat. I think Danny and me are going to be more laid back because I'm going to let C and Pixel go in and do their thing, and yeah, we'll try to balance it out. But I know C and
it's
and
funny.
Pixel
Pixel Bit G will be joining us on Wednesday evenings primetime gaming.
Oh, would you look at that? I can't
back
wait
to back.
Yeah,
Back to back.
But the week after that, not the week, 2 weeks after that, it'll be yourself, Boom, and it'll be Spooky.
Indeed, yeah. Spooky Sprocket is a good dude. That's a good dude. Yeah, so it's gonna be an honor to work with him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 3-bit. I'll get you on there soon, brother. You know what? Yeah, I'll work it in for you. You work with the Unreal Engine too, so I definitely have to get you on there. So
that's the only criteria.
That's your only criteria.
3-bit's he's a good kid. I like 3-bit. He has always a lot of stuff to take, and he's a developer, folks. He does it for real. He actually is a game developer, which is dope.
Is. I try to get information on it out of him from Fable. Since
he won't budge. He won't budge.
Yeah, I'll get him eventually. But I was gonna say though, so you can find us, of course, Thursdays, myself and Daniel McG, Thursdays at 8:00 Eastern. And Paris, man, thank you for joining us here today and for eventually appearing on the Fix. I don't know if you agreed again. I just want to speak it.
Oh man,
but yeah,
Thursday evenings, brother.
Yeah.
Thursday evenings.
Absolutely. No, but yeah, seriously. Good show to get today. Chat, much love to you guys. Again, if you haven't subscribed, do so for brother. We appreciate you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. They're growing and rightfully so. They put on a good show each and every week. And last and no way least, Daniel McG. What's going on, brother? Thank you so much for giving us your hot takes and your difference of opinions, which I thought were really, really well thought out. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone for the best place of the best short and long form content, as well as your ideology of rewriting the DCEU.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's a hot button topic is how to fix Halo. Obviously they've done it. I don't know if they took your advice, but you had a good video over that.
They took a different direction, but I think it's worked out for them. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J McG or on my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McG. Just look for my lion logo, you'll find it. Just put out 2 videos in the last week. Actually, I put out a spoiler cast of Spider-Man 2 with Mr. Badbit, Joseph Morin. And I also did a quick video, just real fast, of me going through and voting on my picks for the nominations of the Game Awards. So we've got some content up for you right now. I think they're both excellent. I hope that you will agree. It was a really fun show today, guys. I especially appreciate Paris coming in and saving me because I know that I was going to be sort of the odd man out here and the chat was going to tear me a new one. So I really appreciate Paris coming in and letting them beat him up instead. That was really nice.
Hey, something I said's already been clipped and put on Twitter.
Sure. No! Oh shit! Yeah, I get clipped all the time. Even when I'm trying, people take it out of context. Even when I'm trying to be a good guy, it's like, oh, this guy's a real Xbox prick, so he hates PlayStation. It's just is what it is. But yeah, Daniel,
it's funny when people say that, and it's like, bro, like chances are I spend way more money on PlayStation than most of these.
Well, that's what Sony likes you to do.
About PlayStation.
That's what they do. Yeah, that's what Sony does.
It's crazy.
But, listen, that's gonna do it for the show. I got to all 36 super chats. A big thank you to my goodness of all of the that who have donated to the show, who continue to donate to the show through channel memberships. Again, folks. We look to pay it forward as we do. We've already done 2 $500 giveaways in September and November, and the big one, folks, is in December. It's going to be the 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, folks. We're giving away in 2 hours $1,500, and that is powered by the super chats that we kind of tuck away and the channel memberships we kind of tuck away. And we're giving away 10 $100 gift cards, as well as, of course, 2 grand prize winners of $250 gift cards to your platform of choice: Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo eShop. And if you're outside of the country, folks, we'll send you the money. We pay all transaction fees and denomination value differences, because if you support the channel, we want to support you even if you're not in the United States. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.